Good evening and welcome to the Showboys podcast. I'm Nick, and joined with me very regularly lately is Chad. And as a special guest tonight, we have our boy BioSiv. Welcome back, sir.
Hello.
Get those glasses all crispy. We're gonna be here
right.
for a while.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Chad, you doing well tonight?
I'm doing great, man.
Got
Doing
the
great.
red
Yeah.
headband.
And I got the Rockstar shirt on.
Oh
If you can see it.
man,
I don't know which way to go. This way.
there you go.
I'm super hyped, man. I'm very excited for this episode.
I could tell brought the red headband, Rockstar shirt. Oh man, little teaser. We are going to get in to the PlayStation showcase that was live streamed earlier today. Conveniently, they always do that on the same day that we do the podcast here, which is very convenient for us and content. Always coming hot off the trail there. And, you know, BioSiv has some input there. Hopefully he balances out the hype here, brings some truth and justice to it. We'll see. I just know that Chad's on cloud nine. I think
sure.
I think we like message each other like almost simultaneously. We're like on the same page there for the kickoff there.
Look, I just want to say, Chad, I've been looking forward to this day since they announced the day that the showcase was.
Yeah.
Oh, Chad, somebody needed to kind of level this playing field here.
Yeah, I guess.
Chad, the more episodes you're on, the more like adversity you're going to start facing. It looks like
I'm starting to see that. Yeah, it was easy rolling there for a while.
I know. We released the clip there where Chad was kind of giving us his research on why video games are essentially no more expensive than they ever have been or cheaper. And
dude, I'm with you.
Right? I mean, it's a convincing argument. And Jordan, our other co-host, who has been absent for a while, he is coming out of the woodwork and he is not on that same page. So a little teaser preview there. Be ready.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jordan, but that was like a very baseline argument I gave on that episode. I didn't feel like I needed more, but I have a lot more behind it. So I'm ready.
Oh yeah. Okay, we'll set that up and we'll get that plugged in. I think that'll be September 23rd. We'll flesh that one out. They'll make for a good part 2 clip. We'll have a little series there of just Jordan and Chad arguing about nonsense. We're all going to buy the games anyway, so it is really a mute point.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we get too far into, the 2-hour segment of the episode, we're gonna probably he's like, this gonna be that long. We're gonna get through like a quick update announcement. We've been teasing it for a little while. There's been hints kind of dribbled throughout our different content spheres and stuff. YouTube has been a little bit of a, it was leaked there earlier this week. If you knew where to look, you could piece it together. And obviously the graphic for the show tonight kind of alludes to it. So Mike and I have discussed this in the past a lot, and you could probably notice we've been edging up our gaming content. Mike and I have been, streaming more occasionally. Mike's been streaming a lot of Pokemon content. He plays like 5 different Pokemon games, and you could see some version of all those on our YouTube. I've been playing a little bit more games, trying to stream it, make some recordings, and we're really just interested in expanding this idea of Showboys Gaming. And we really want to keep pushing that envelope to bring that level of content to everybody. So naturally, with that, we had this idea of creating essentially a stream team. Now, it was only so good for a while with just me and Mike casually streaming our games inconsistently at random times in the evening. No rhyme or reason, just really kind of to fill time for us as we kind of explore this sphere. So we came up with the idea of the Showboy stream team. And that naturally leads to future collaborations of expanding this as a whole. And one of our dreams here at Showboys is to be a valued source of entertainment for everyone. And today we are taking the first wider step in that direction. And that's why we will be joining forces with BioSiv as our first official stream team partner.
Yes.
Applause and claps.
Yes.
And that is a big part of why he's here tonight, to plug his stuff, be part of the announcement, get hype, talk a little bit to what we're planning on doing. It's still a very, BioSiv and I, we are long-term planners, slow and methodical. Mike's a little bit more of the hype train, but we will slowly be blending our worlds together.
Yeah.
BioSiv is a very consistent and kind of like variety game streamer. He's been doing it for quite some time now. And I mean, we interviewed you back in episode 32, I do believe. And, that's where, obviously check that out if anyone wants to learn more about BioSiv. But, what do you got to say, man? Welcome.
Well, okay. So in preparation for this announcement, I look back on when Mike and I initially started just a reconnecting from that time to now. And since then, on stream, I haven't played the same game twice. So when you say variety streamer, I am playing different games every time.
The premier variety streamer.
Definitely.
All right. And then I can run through them fairly quickly. Hey, thank you, Showboys. I'm glad to be here.
That's Mike infiltrating.
Right? Just sneaking in here while he can.
Yep.
I've gone through 21 games since the beginning of the year. I thought that's not enough. I'm not going through them as fast as I want to. Realistically, I should be pumping out. We're a little bit more than halfway through the year. We're 9 months in at this point. We're 3/4 in.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, I should be 30 games at this point.
Yeah.
At least 10 games a quarter. I'm regardless, like I'm saying, I'm glad to be here. You said I'm consistent. Yes, there is burnout. Things like that happened this past week. I took my time to just chill, get ready for this announcement. But starting next week, we have so much backlog footage that we're going to be dumping them onto YouTube every day. Awesome. Legitimately every day until we catch up with what we have, and that's about 6 months. So
nice.
We got that to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure.
The floodgates will be opened.
You got it.
But yeah, and obviously this is just like the first step and what we hope to be a much larger sphere of content for us. Obviously BioSiv kind of taking the lead here, leading the charge, and we're definitely always open to just adding more streamers, more content creators, and just kind of continually pushing the envelope here. As BioSiv said, he is working through a big backlog of content that he has. You can find, he has a section on our YouTube page right under our Showboys Gaming section. And basically it highlights all his playlists that he has from his channel. So you can click those. Those will take you right to his videos. There's a link to his channel on our YouTube page. And obviously you can find that in a growing number of places throughout the kind of Showboys network of links. So we'll just kind of create a constant feedback loop to promote each other's content. And yeah, I mean, that's really the gist of it. And, this is obviously the first step, and then we'll continuously be chipping away at this idea and just constantly just, try and take it to the next level. But yeah, so excited to have you. So excited we can make this happen.
Absolutely.
Mike wishes he was here. I told Chad earlier today, I mean, it must really, really be unfortunate that he's on vacation while we get to sit here, have this amazing announcement, and talk about the PlayStation Showcase all in the same episode. And he's like at the beach or something.
Dude, I mean, like I was saying just a second ago, I mean, burnout happens. Dude's been working so hard, like, you know, end of the summer, let him enjoy it.
Right.
Well, my counter to that is day like 1 of him being physically at the beach, like in the morning, he was chatting me in Discord about a new podcast idea that he wants to start in October.
Like I said,
quick
man,
preview there.
Constantly going. The man's just drive.
Mike says, yeah, dude, being at the beach is so much worse than not being on the show tonight. I'll take that as a serious comment and not sarcasm.
Please. No way. I would rather be trying to surf and get slapped with some jellyfish right now.
Yeah, right.
Look, not that I don't love being here. It's just like how much time do we have to surf where we live? You know?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, not really. Just surfing the net, maybe.
Yeah.
Underfunded's here with us tonight. He says, yo, always glad to have you, Underfunded. I was actually just on your website today checking out your game again. I've been browsing like Twitter and just kind of poking around the whole like Showboys like social media space. I've been getting back into there, trying to drive some hype and stuff, mostly in anticipation for tonight. But I think that about plugs it for that. So I'm really happy we got this all kind of settled and sorted out, and lots more to come here in the future. But yeah, this is a what's playing episode. So, Bio, how about you start us off? What have you been playing, even though you've been on a break? You know, burnout break.
I've been jumping through a lot of short games. I would say, I did Limbo recently.
Oh yeah.
Little Nightmares. That was kind of cool. Undertale. I did Undertale. That was the most recent one that I completed.
Yeah, I saw your Undertale one. That was that one was good.
That one was fun. I really thought that game, as I started progressing in it, it was like about an hour and a half, and I was like, this game kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Dude, it just kept rolling.
Yeah.
The laughter just kept coming all the way. I needed to finish it. It did kind of drag on the last 2 hours or so. But,
yeah.
I mean, that was cool. And then lastly, we just that's when I started my break. We finished Outer Worlds. Like almost 100% that game. And I don't want to say like almost 100% that game, like probably 79%. But I mean, for a game like that, it's
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty close to if I wanted to. Yeah, but that was a pretty slick game, and I'm definitely picking up the second one of that when when it drops.
Right. Yeah. I need to go back and play Limbo. I never played Limbo. I played Inside, and then I've helped my boys play Little Nightmares.
Okay.
Because they're like in love with those two games. And I think they're really cool. I loved Inside, and I think I played a little bit of Limbo. But
what's Inside like?
Inside it's the same studio that made Limbo. Yeah. But it's not black and white. It's the same style of game, but it's good, and it's short too. Like maybe a couple hours at the very most.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you like those. If you're into Limbo and Little Nightmares.
Yeah.
I never played any of those, but they sound fun, especially if they're, what you said, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how long Inside took me. It might have been
like 4.
Right, yeah, that's about right. They're like quick little indie games.
Well, I mean, Nick, if you want to check it out, I mean, I just loaded up, Little Nightmares on BioSiv, YouTube.
I actually just added that playlist to our page section.
That was the last one I threw on there. Yeah.
Yep. Trying to keep
Next
up with that.
Next is actually Control. to be honest. I've
Ooh.
already got 3 days loaded up. So the next 3 days, like I said, every day, just going to be loading up.
So are you so obviously there's like the most recent thing you streamed. Are you trying to get that stuff up first and then just chip away at like the backlog, or are you trying to do it in order?
Well, it's kind of funny the way that it's coming out. It happens to be where I'm jumping from current stuff to older stuff. I'll throw on a day of this, I'll throw on a day of that, and then back and forth. Like, hey, let's see what this looks like now compared to 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah. I try to be consistent with it, though it's a little weird, but like Theta TV, which is like a streaming platform, we covered that with Jordan some time ago. We have quite a few episodes up there now, but they only let you upload one video a week due to this, like the way the network like bandwidth goes, just because it's a very young network and they're just trying to keep it,
Cloud
under control.
Is expensive, dude.
Yeah, keep it stable. I mean, it's all like based on the blockchain, and like Jordan can tell you all about it, and we'll have to have him on to tell us all about it again. But a lot of times our most recent episode, especially this summer, we've had so many what's playing, and that's kind of like a gaming centric platform. I end up just uploading our most recent like what's playing episode, but then occasionally I try to sneak in, if there's like an open week, I'll sneak in like an older episode that I like. So kind of a similar concept. Sounds like to what you're doing.
Yeah, as much as I can. If I'm doing a game today and then I have a day off, or I have a couple of days off, let me throw on some previous footage.
It's a good way to do it for sure.
Yeah. And Underfunded, he says, I'm literally uploading an update right now for his game Glow Home. Well, I need to check that out. Plug Underfunded. Good little game. It's fun.
I tell you what, since our episode with him though, he's like changed the way I look at games. Like certain things, like I was playing Tsushima earlier and I was like looking at things like, man, how did they even think to do some of the stuff that's in this game? You know what I mean?
Oh, true.
So it's like totally changed the way I play through games or what I'm thinking when I'm playing through them.
Chad, I mean, I just want to jump in real quick, man. I'm no joke. I was talking with one of my buddies who's very, very much a fan of Ghost, and he got the director's cut, and he straight up made a comment to me, something about the damn
quiver,
quiver,
the arrow quiver.
And I was like, I know somebody.
Yeah. Like I said, I couldn't have been the only one complaining about it, so I'm sure I wasn't. But yeah, that's hilarious that he pointed out too. It's a noticeable thing. If you were there at the beginning, you probably know what I'm talking about. But that's funny that he pointed it out for sure.
Underfunded thanks you, and he thinks like that a lot too. I was thinking like that when we were watching that kind of preview of Dead Space remake last week, Chad. Just like they were actually showing like legit like game development, like how they're you're in there like sandbox and stuff, but it's just crazy how all that stuff works.
It really is. It really is.
Especially now we look at games these days and they are just so complicated and there's just so much going on. And it all has to work, and that's that's why there's bugs in games.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we get really mad when the game's just like completely busted on day one. But
but there's so much going on that and I think gamers are much tougher on developers than we really should be. For the most part, there are some studios where it's just like, okay, either just get it right or just move on to something, to do movies or something, because you're just not getting it.
Well,
go ahead.
No, you're right. But I do think I think we're also able to tell the difference when it is like the developers versus the executive, like studio heads, screwing shit up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true for sure.
I think. Were you going to say something? No, we cut each other off.
That was it. I just feel like on top of people always complaining that games are more expensive than they've ever been, which is not true, Jordan. They also are rougher on, studios bringing out patches and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, the issue with patches are it's that you're allowed to make changes later, whereas before you have to make this game or your studio suffered.
Right.
You
Oh, for
know,
sure. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
so
If you got a broken game in the 90s, it was broken. That was
it
it.
was broken.
You're done. You're done. And that game's not
Right?
going to review good. It's not going to sell good. It's just
How many
busted.
games you buy now? I don't care if it's a brand new game that's even being remastered, director's cut, day one patch.
Right.
Every single one of those games.
All of them. Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely see that, but I kind of feel that like that's a good thing and not a bad thing because
I agree.
Because now where some of these games before were just broken and you wouldn't play them. Now they're getting patched and fixed, and now you can actually play them. And let's be honest, that's kind of what we're all here for, is to play games, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I kind of see that as a good thing. Patches and DLC, all that stuff I love. There's a lot of people that hate on that stuff, especially paid DLC and that stuff. But that's I'm sure Jordan's going to bring that up in our conversation. But
Underfunded's right with us, saying the exact same thing.
No bug-free updates. It's hard.
Yeah,
especially when you're a solo game dev, it definitely has to be hard.
Definitely.
But that's where the slider comes into play, like dev or executive screwing it up,
right?
Like which is it?
Yeah.
And I think we're pretty good at telling a lot of times, and I think that's where the unfairness comes in, is when it unfairly gets directed at the studio or the dev when it's really the parent company saying, "Make us money now."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
See, you're underfunded. A lot of it's oversight or forgetting a connection, but it's impossible to be 100% accurate doing anything. And in game dev, it has to be 100% to work.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, that is true. It takes the littlest thing to like break the whole chain of code.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. You fix one thing and then it makes 6 other problems,
Every update, dude. You fix one thing and then something else.
Yeah. That's why when you get a game that's fully put together day one, it's like really impressive. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And they're kind of rare. They're rare, even amongst first party studios with Xbox and Sony. Sometimes their games are busted. Days Gone is a perfect example. That game should have been really, really good, and it wasn't. And unfortunately, the studio really suffered from that. I don't think it's as bad as the hate that it gets, but it's since been patched and they've moved on to a different, like Sony was like, here, you're not making Days Gone 2, so move on to something else, which kind of sucks because I kind of liked it. But
Cozy Contagion says Dead Space looks dope. It certainly does, and alludes to a Manhunt remake. That would be very cool.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to something like that. Like
you would definitely do a Manhunt playthrough.
I'm gonna do a Manhunt playthrough very shortly.
There you go.
Regardless, don't even need to remake.
Yeah,
that would be so good. But yeah, speaking of remakes, for remakes are so popular these days that PlayStation can start their showcase off with a simple remake announcement, which is still like the hypest thing. That was the biggest thing I took away from it. Like it was just even like a little, it was a trailer, cinematic trailer. It wasn't even gameplay. And they lost me, but it got me thinking. So I was like, okay, they're calling it a remake, and there's actually like a nuanced difference that maybe like I hadn't really thought about completely, because there's like remaster, there's remake, there's
reboot,
release, all these, and some of them. What's that?
I was thinking about that. Like they said remake, and I was like, whoa, does that mean it's going to be a retelling of the original story, just better graphics, all that?
Yeah. So if you held on till the end of the press conference, they sat down and discussed what it was, and I have. So were we getting into the PlayStation thing right now? Might as well. You already rolled the ball.
Yeah, it was like that segue,
Yeah. So they said it's a complete remake from the ground up, rebuilt completely from the ground up. Visuals obviously are going to be much higher than the original game. It's rebuilt from the ground up, so they're staying authentic to the game. Now, I have concerns on this game. I love Knights of the Old Republic, and what a way to open your press conference, let me tell you, because a lot of people love this game, and a lot of people, it's not really accessible now.
No, it's not. It's unplayable. It effectively is. If you can get it to run, which I have been able to get it to run on my PlayStation, it is unstable, but also it is like the worst like box.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Just like
right.
It's whatever. Yeah, the 4:3 ratio. It just does not age well at all.
Right. Yeah. I think BioSiv. Did you play the original?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Back on the original Xbox.
You got it.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm very hyped for this game. However, the studio that's doing it, which is Aspire, I think is how you say it, they're kind of known for more recently Star Wars games, ironically, bringing older Star Wars games to new consoles. So I think they did like the Jedi Knight stuff and Jedi Outcast and those like ports
those
to PS4.
Were pretty good.
Yeah, and they're just straight ports, you know what I mean? There might have been a little up-resing, but it wasn't like, it was just basically a port.
Yeah.
And even if you go to like their site, their whole sales pitch is we bring old games up to date. That's their whole sales pitch, which sounds great when you're talking about this game, but you got to also remember that's not what they're doing here. They're rebuilding it literally from the ground up. They're not porting anything.
And that's the remake. That's the remake emphasis is like rebuilt from the ground up. First Remaster, which is another one, is just like the polish on it to like tune stuff that just exists as is.
Yeah, which we'll get into the difference here in a little bit, because there's actually another remaster coming in this press conference later, which I'm super pumped about, but we'll get to that. So, as soon as I saw Darth Revan, I knew right where it was going. And I thought I had heard that this was rumored for a long time, but it was just one of those like, some dude on the internet said it. So who knows if it's true or not.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's really far away. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we didn't even get a release window on it. No. So I won't lie. I audibly screamed out loud when it came on the screen. So I mean, I was pumped.
Well, they're for being a remake, which is the proper thing to do, of course, because to me, that game was, for its time, it was cutting edge and it was amazing. But I think it was right on the tail end of a previous technology like arc. And like shortly after that, we started getting into a whole new sphere of gaming tech. Yeah. I think the way I kind of remember it as. I feel like
I think it was fairly early on in the Xbox life cycle, to be honest with you. Like maybe a launch title. I might be wrong. It was
like KOTOR 2 and like Dragon Age.
Right.
Like, I don't know if it was like Knights of the Old Republic and then Dragon Age, or if it was two Knights and then a Dragon. But they were all right in the same, and BioWare became very known for that style of gameplay.
Right.
But that's them being launch titles. That's where I think they were like right at the tail end of the previous kind of like way of building games. And then once Xbox fully got in the swing, that's when things were starting to be reinvented because we had the new console there. Yeah. Because Dragon Age doesn't age well either, the way that was built, in my opinion. I tried to go play that, I think, last year at some point, and it just like it's playable, but it did not age well. Just because it's just right at that sweet point of just being just too far back on how they built games.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want BioWare back making these games, and I thought to be honest with you that they were going to be involved. It does not look.
What are they doing these days?
They did what was the Star Wars MMO, the Old Republic, right?
I guess they are still. Oh, yeah. I don't even know if they're still working that though.
Yeah, they are. They I think during an E3 conference there was an update for it. They did that, and then they did something else, and it's totally slipping. My Anthem maybe is Anthem BioWare. It might be BioWare. I'm totally blanking, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure.
Say it is.
I'm pretty sure it is, and then I think they're working on Mass Effect, a new Mass Effect. Which
That's wild.
Yeah, Anthem's BioWare.
Yeah,
that was supposed to be their breakout, like their main title, but I don't think that landed.
No,
that should have crushed Destiny. We a lot of us put a bunch of hope into that game, just becoming like the Iron Man version of Destiny, and
right.
It was not.
It was not. Yeah.
God,
no. And I think, at least I'm hoping that I know that they're working on Mass Effect because they released a trailer for it. So hopefully they learn their lessons from the online MMO RPG things that they went through, and Mass Effect has none of that in it. If you want to do an online thing, that's fine, but get the single player right first, and then we can move on, just like Grand Theft Auto did. Get the single player right. That's what most people want out of the studio. I wouldn't say anybody would argue that with me, because their most popular games they've ever made have all been single player. But I'm cool with studios dabbling in stuff that they don't normally do. But if it doesn't work, then you got to revert back, unfortunately.
Bethesda makes that mistake every few years.
Yeah.
With the online thing. Oh, dude. The first one that I really fell for was the game Brink. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dude, that one, I had such high hopes for that. And then what came after that? ESO, and then Fallout 76. Like, each time they try and dip into the MMO thing,
it doesn't work, and or it does, and it takes years to get to that point. Fallout 76, I think, is fairly popular now, but it took years to get to that. Same with ESO. Fairly
I won't
popular
touch either
now.
of those anymore.
Right.
Never again.
But that's not what people want out of Bethesda. Sorry. We want Elder Scrolls, not online, and we want a Fallout game.
Yeah.
So why that's slipping their mind, it looks like they're maybe at least working on Elder Scrolls, because they did release a teaser.
Put a pin in that. You saw the 6?
Right. Yeah,
we'll come back to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then Starfield, I think, is going to be a single player game by the looks of it. So at least maybe, that's another studio just like BioWare. Like, we tried the online stuff. That's not what people want from us. They want these awesome open world RPG style games from us. So if you want to make your money, put out a good game.
And the Old Republic, the MMO, that was this is another instance where I think BioWare was a little too ahead of the game, but behind on like the tech era, because when they made that MMO, they were basically in like peak World of Warcraft era, right? Or at least right on the precipice of peak Warcraft.
It had to be right there, because it was right around Cataclysm, and that's when I was playing Warcraft. So, and I know I was super amped for Star Wars.
I don't think that's what pushed that game. I think it was the Star Trek online game. It was very shortly after that they kind of just threw it at everyone. They were like, "Look at this!"
Yeah. At that time, everyone was trying to take on World of Warcraft, because at that point World of Warcraft was like 8 years old. Like, people wanted it to die, and it's still number one. And the MMO space is entirely broken for the fact that nothing can kind of surpass or achieve what Warcraft was able to
got like a monopoly on it, right?
It's crazy. So like, I do understand every studio taking a crack with their IP at cracking that code and breaking into that space. None of them have done it. No one seems to be able to do it. So I give them a pass for trying. And they were trying to make the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 3. Basically, they were trying to do the whole game as a service, style before everyone else has been doing it in the past like 5 years.
Right.
So that game, I read up on that because I'm always just like checking back in it. It's in a really good state now. Obviously, it's a little dated as far as graphics and stuff, but they still support it. You know, there's lots of content in it. It's come a long way, but it's taken like 10 years or something.
Right. Yeah. It's been a long time. But to be honest with you, I played it at launch, and it wasn't bad at launch.
No, yeah, it wasn't
I'm not
bad.
gonna lie. If you were looking for a Star Wars MMORPG, that was the only one, and it was pretty solid at that. Now, you know, for my personal taste, those games don't, outside of Warcraft, which I went on like a couple year run with. Outside of that, those games just don't hook me for very long. So I think that's why I fell off of it. And then at the end of falling off of it, I just wanted Knights of the Old Republic. You know what I mean? That's what it gave me, enough Knights of the Old Republic vibes to wish that it was Knights of the Old Republic 3. Will we get one now that they're doing the remake of this one? Maybe, because, you know, what do they got to lose?
Yeah.
Man, Cozy Contagion and Underfunded are having a completely separate conversation in chat. And I think, let's see here, they're talking about something, but Underfunded says a lot of people, including developers, think that anything made multiplayer makes it more fun, and it just isn't true.
It's not.
Nope,
It's not.
not at all.
I'm sorry.
Fun with friends, of course, right? And buy all the loot crates, please.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then Cozy Contagion, he does enjoy a good multiplayer game, but just some aren't made for it. And that's, some IPs aren't. I don't think the Fallout IP is at all made for it. Like, leave that as a single player. Please add a multiplayer element, maybe, but do not make a multiplayer game.
Right.
No.
Right. I mean, I think maybe a lot of people thought, looking at Fallout, same with Elder Scrolls, looking at those games, that they might make really cool MMOs.
Yeah.
They might. We tried it, and it didn't until like 5 or 6 years later when it was fixed. But that's Bethesda's, thing now, is to put out broken games and fix them later. So that's why like, even looking at the Starfield trailer, and we talked about this on the E3 episode, I was really amped for Starfield, and it's like, okay looking. It's not really what I thought it was going to be, but we'll see. It's very early. It's just a teaser trailer, so I'm sure there's a lot of time between that and when we get our hands on it. But what do you think, Buyer? Are you pumped for? Because you're a Bethesda guy, kind of, right?
I mean, I play most of the games that they pump out, but to be honest, I don't know anything about Starfield. I didn't even do any research about that game, just because. No. When it comes out, it's just going to end up being on Game Pass. I'll end up picking it up and, playing the first hour and going, oh, this game is awesome, or, oh, this game kind of
broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I feel you. That's why, I have no anger towards Bethesda with going, like, Microsoft can have Bethesda as far as I'm concerned. It's all yours. Have fun,
Yeah. It's an interesting play because a lot of people are going to be upset about Elder Scrolls 6. Just because Skyrim just kept going. It's not dying, you know?
GTA 5.
It's one of those games, man.
Of the fantasy RPG.
Right.
I can't wait for the remake for the next gen consoles.
Well, now, didn't they have like 2 different release dates? You have the actual campaign, and then you have the online on the 22nd of whatever month it was that they were.
Yeah. Yep.
Dude,
so busy.
It's too much. Too much.
It is.
I don't know what version of Skyrim I have. I think I have the Steam Legendary Edition from like 2015, whatever that gets me, and I still don't play it.
So I didn't get to Skyrim until very, very late, and I'm talking my first playthrough. The first time I ever played Skyrim was on the Switch release. So that late. That's how late I got to it. And I eventually switched over to the PS4 one because they allowed mods on the PS4 one, which I thought was super cool because consoles don't really do that much. And it's a good game. It might be one of those games where it's like a time and place thing. It's good. I don't think it's this pinnacle of amazingness that everyone makes it out to be. And that could be the time and place thing. I just wasn't there at the beginning of it when it might have been that. But if you're looking, like, I was looking for a game similar to Game of Thrones. like so I could watch Game of Thrones and play something similar. And The Witcher had died off for me at that point, which was that game for me. So I picked up Skyrim, and I beat it. I thought it was good, but I don't know that we need it released on every single console that ever comes out. I think that might be a little excessive, but
no, dude. GTA 5 released on every console from the PS3 and Xbox 360,
right.
To now.
Yeah.
And that one I can get behind, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I as much as I'm saying that about Skyrim, I'm gonna buy Grand Theft Auto 5 on anything that it ever comes out on, and I'm gonna beat it on it, and I have so far. Everything it's been on, I've beat it on. So
exactly.
So I would love to. I was hoping that they were gonna maybe talk about putting it on the Switch. We'll see. Maybe if we get like a Switch Pro that might be able to run the game a little bit better.
I was gonna say it's not gonna be powerful enough, man.
Right, but I'm let's get a little further into this PlayStation thing here. But go ahead with that, Nick.
No, yeah, and Underfunded says people tell me to make Glow Home multiplayer or ask if it will be, and that would be cool just to say yeah it is, but in reality I won't because there's no core gameplay that would benefit, right. And I bet there's a lot of devs at studios like yeah. Same idea, same thought, but boss said nope, multiplayer go.
Right.
That's the sad reality of it. But yeah, like Chad said, we've been talking. The first prompt there was the Knights of the Old Republic remake, which is I'm looking forward to that.
Regardless. Oh yeah, for sure. And then I also want to mention before we move off of that, I'm not entirely sure. It is seemingly a PlayStation and PC exclusive. I don't know if it's a timed exclusive or what, but I didn't see even on the studio's like posts that they put out, they didn't mention Xbox at all. So, but they did say it's timed. Yeah, I'm sure it is. It'd be stupid not to. But what a way to open the press conference,
Yeah, we've seen rumors about it all year, or not all year, but we've seen rumors about it, but definitely did not expect like cold open. This is what we're opening with, and it's happening legit. So that was exciting, and we get so excited about remakes because that's just where we're at in life. We want to replay the games we love.
Well, there's just like this is a prime example. Like we talked, it's not very accessible now, and even if it is accessible, it's probably pretty dated and horrible to play, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's one on here that I do not get. We'll talk about it.
It might be the one I'm excited for, but we'll see.
Probably, yeah. I have a list here of basically all the ones that they announced. Do you just kind of want to work through it? Because the next one is Project Eve by Shift Up.
So cool.
It looks really cool, man. I'm not gonna lie, I never even heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got it looks almost like Final Fantasy mixed with Nier Automata or something. It's like a hack and slash gameplay. I don't know. Never heard of it. It looks really, really cool, I think.
I was like, BioSiv is gonna play this game. I know it
for sure.
Oh yeah definitely. That is the game that I would buy the PS5 for.
Right, there you go. And then there's another one a little further. Well, let's just get so Project Eve, check it out if you're into, Final Fantasy, that kind of stuff. It's got a really cool look to it. The next one was Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which we already saw at E3. It's the spin-off of Borderlands. Which I thought was a little odd. They didn't really show any gameplay at E3. They showed it here. But it's got like a medieval setting, but they have guns and stuff in it, and they actually made fun of it in the trailer, which is kind of cool. I like when they do that stuff. Like I can't remember what the game at E3 that made fun of them. So it might have been the Outer Worlds 2, where the whole trailer was just making fun of the studio for not having anything to show. I love that. I love that.
So this was the one that looked like Borderlands to me at first.
100%.
It had that very cool cell
shading
style.
It looks beautiful. I'm not gonna lie.
Guns galore.
Yeah, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's coming March 25th, which is actually pretty, not too far away.
Yeah, not my kind of game, but definitely looked a lot of fun. I didn't do any of the Borderlands after the first one, but this Wonderland game that looked kind of fun,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, it does. I thought it was a little odd with the guns, but
That's what drew me in.
right. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it is a Borderlands spinoff, so if
Yeah.
you
okay.
if you spin off Borderlands and then lose the gunplay, which is the best part of Borderlands for a lot of people, on top of the
Yeah.
cell shaded graphics, which I've talked about millions of times, I think
I'm
is
not a fan of
underutilized.
cel-shaded graphics.
Oh, you're not
dude.
really?
Yeah, man. The game 13, when it first released,
Oh,
killed cel-shaded all that for me.
Really?
For real.
Wow.
Nuked it.
You know what? I remember being very, very, very hyped for that game, and I don't think I ever played it, to be
It
honest
was a
with
cool
you.
game. I just wish the graphics were different.
Yeah, well, we talked last week. I don't know if you remember the game Auto Modelista. It was Capcom's like racing arcade game on the
Mhm.
PS2. It was cel shaded. And I told Nick I had got it on an emulator, and the emulator lets you upres the graphics on the games, and it looks freaking beautiful. Those graphics to me, they're like timeless. Like they just, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
look beautiful no matter what. You upres them and they look stunning. Where some games, like if you try to upres any other game from that era, it's not going to look so hot. You're going to have to
that's
put a
true.
lot more
That's
work into it. The next game is Forspoken. This might be another one of BioSiv's because it looks almost like the other one. I mean, it looks like Project
Totally.
Eve.
God, that one is the one. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's Square Enix. It looks like at first I thought it was Life is Strange, like another Life is Strange trailer, because it's got the same looking character in it. They look similar. I don't know if I'm just remembering that wrong or what, but she gets transported to a medieval world, and it almost has like Control like combat to it in the trailer, where you're hack and slash style stuff, and then
Yeah.
she has like powers and she's throwing stuff. So any game that copies Control's gameplay, I'm all for, because I love
Bring
Control's gameplay.
Yeah, Control, that game. So just a quick bit on Control. I really appreciated playing that game. I'm glad you recommended it, because I had not played a game like that in such a long time, because I've been into my niche of game styles, and that was just completely out of my element. So that one's just like a good thing to appeal into.
Right.
Good game.
So yeah, Forspoken, spring of 2022 is when that is launching.
Yeah, that game definitely looks super cool. And I saw people talking about, they're trying to theorize like how big the world is.
Yeah.
Like, is it truly absolutely massive as like their huge kind of environment shots kind of portrayed it to be?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does, and it's seamless too. We're definitely approaching the era of no load screens, and that's
Right.
obviously
Right.
that's kind of a thing. They're
for
trying to
sure.
make a thing.
I think it's going to pick this generation. It's going to pick up for sure, because there are already some games where Tsushima is a perfect example. There's very little load times in that game. From smashing the button on continue, it loads right into
Think
the game.
about,
Yeah.
it was made on a previous gen console,
Right.
and that's what happens when you can push it to the next gen.
Yep.
It's usually snap, snap, snap. What happens when you get to the end of the console generation? Everything becomes, in my case, Control. I'm looking back at my footage, 30-second load time between deaths.
Right. Yeah. I do remember Controls, and there was another game where it was Bloodborne for the PlayStation, which is a Souls-like, which you die a lot in Souls-like. If anybody doesn't know that, you die a whole heck of a lot. So the load times for Bloodborne when it launched on the PlayStation, it was like a minute, which is excessive for a Souls-like game, especially when you're dying every 30 seconds. Then you got to wait a minute. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. It might be what BioSiv said, just the old gen going into the new gen, and it's making it quicker.
7 years. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, go ahead.
I have a question. I was reading. I think it was IGN. They have like a podcast. They have like one for Xbox. They have one for PlayStation. Then they had one where it was like a report card review of the consoles. It being almost a year now, and my Xbox's big thing was a quick resume feature. Does that not also exist on the PlayStation 5?
I mean, it does. I don't know
it
exactly
does.
what a quick resume feature means on the Xbox, but it certainly does on the PlayStation. They just don't necessarily call it a quick resume.
Right.
I mean, it's like you can put the game in rest or whatever. But I don't know. I have to do more research on the quick resume thing. I don't know if it's like from the beginning, starting the game up, and it's I have no idea, but it's there on PlayStation. I know that.
Right.
For the Xbox, from what I understand, it may not be as many number as I am thinking, but from what I remember, they said it was 5 games that you could resume from wherever you left it off. So, say I hit the console button, I was playing Forza, Horizon 5. I switched over to Gears of War 5. And then I switched over to Dark Souls 3. And then I said, oh, you know what? I'm tired of this. I want to go back to the first game I was playing.
Yeah.
I could do so, and it would pick up supposedly instantly from where I was right then and there.
Yeah, so there you go, Nick. It's multiple games on Xbox.
Games.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because they said that, and there was like a big feature that they were highlighting, and I was like, I literally do that on the PlayStation, but maybe it's just one game on the PlayStation. But to that point, I was thinking about that, and I'm like, that's actually such an incredible feature, especially for someone like me who I don't really have time or patience to like load up a whole game every time. So the fact that I can basically put my console into rest when I stop last night. So, and if I were to turn it on tonight, basically Ghost would load up within seconds and I would be exactly where I need to be. And even if it took me to the home screen, it loads in 10 seconds or less. Like it's fast. And that's totally worth it for like resuming a play session.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Even like most of the PlayStation game, the load times to start them up isn't even that. So that might have been a really cool feature last generation when that was an issue. You know what I mean? And I would imagine the Xbox loads just as quick. So, I mean, it's a cool feature. I rarely ever play multiple games at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm usually always on one game. So
exactly,
it's not, that wouldn't sell anything for me really, but
Underfunded says the worst part of all load screens is their progress bar is a lie.
Yeah.
They just cover the camera while things are being populated, so you don't see the level being built. And the progress bar is just updated at various checkpoints.
Yeah.
I definitely think I at least assumed that. But I know on like some PC games where you can skip the intro videos, like on Civ 6, you can skip the intro video and you enter this weird like screen where you know it's loading. But if you just let it load, if you just let the intro video play, you'll be dropped right into the, where you need to be. So it's all just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Oh, the elevator loading screens on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
It'd be like, these doors aren't opening. Why, when the game would get hung up and you'd be like, this is a long elevator ride.
Yeah, it's funny because those elevator scenes are still in the Legendary Edition. They're not load times anymore because it doesn't need it. But there's a lot, I guess, at least in the first one specifically, there's a lot of story that's told between them talking in the elevator and stuff. So,
dude, that was how I got hooked.
Yeah. So they kept it in there. I thought that was pretty cool. You can opt to skip it entirely, but if you want those story beats, you're gonna sit through that elevator ride, which I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a clever way to fill a functional requirement of the game, load times.
Right.
So might as well fill it with content.
Minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, our next game is Rainbow Six Extraction, which we've already seen before. We talked about it pretty extensively. It looks like a turd to me. I'm not into Siege. If you're into Siege and you like aliens and stuff, might be up your alley. They're really playing it up, and it's like...
I didn't know Rainbow Six was into, like, Control aliens. It looked like Control to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what they look like. You're right. And...
a lot of things look like Control to me now.
Yeah,
I've played Control. It's weird.
Yeah.
What was that Rainbow Six game that was all about the city of New York and it was like quarantine?
The Division.
Division.
Tom Clancy's The Division. Yeah.
That's what it looked like. That's what this game looked like.
Yeah, I think they definitely took some notes from that for sure. But The Division is like a totally set. It's open world. I personally love The Division. I know that game got a lot of hate when it came out for its massive, and I mean incredibly massive downgrade it got from the E3 trailer to the actual game launch, which a lot of games do. That's kind of Ubisoft's thing for sure, is to show this beautifully stunning game at E3, and then you get it, and it's like, it's like you had to put on glasses to look at it, right? So anyway, if that's up your alley, whatever. We've seen it already. It looks all right. The next one was an Alan Wake remaster.
Speaking of.
Now, this to me is the one personally that I'm really excited for, because I haven't played this game in a really long time, and playing through Control and the DLC for Control made me want to go back to Alan Wake because he's in one of the DLCs. So this is also the first time that it's ever been on a PlayStation console, which is also really, really, really exciting. That being said, sometimes I have like bad memories of the way games looked, but it doesn't look like it's really that big of an upgrade, at least in the trailer that they showed. You know what I mean? We'll see when it comes out, but it's coming out October 5th, which is like really soon.
Yeah, less than a month.
Yeah. So this game leaked last week sometime, and then the studio, I think Epic Games, admitted that they were working on it. It was obvious they were trying to save it for this press conference, and it got out beforehand. But BioSiv, you play Alan Wake?
I loved Alan Wake when it came out. It was one of the games I didn't know it was actually going to be getting dropped. I wasn't aware of the leak that happened last week. I was actually talking to my buddy Big. He and I we used to have an apartment together, and we played different games. I'd watch him, he'd watch me. Alan Wake was one of those games, and man, I wanted to come back to it, but apparently, as I was doing some research, man, you cannot stream this game because all of the music in it is just, you get all of your stuff copyright hit immediately. Like everything you do in this game.
Interesting. That's odd.
Yeah, so even the remaster, remake, reboot, what are we calling these now?
This is a remaster. Yeah.
Depends on what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So this remaster,
dude, it's a remaster.
I'm sure the music is gonna get you immediately cut.
Wow, that's crazy.
Muted.
Yeah, I'm super, super pumped for this, and it's coming right around Halloween time. That's like the perfect time to play Alan Wake. If anybody's played it, it's like a spooky. I love it. It reminds me of Twin Peaks. If anybody's watched Twin Peaks, the show, it definitely took some vibes off of that. But first time on a PlayStation console, and I'm probably going to be playing it because I don't know where I'm going after Tsushima, because there's really nothing that I want to play until this was announced.
Well, Bio suggests that we play Grand Theft Auto again. At least he suggests I do that.
Well,
you should.
Yes.
You should.
Here's why I'm not going to do that.
I've only beat it once.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You do you.
So the reason I'm not going to do that is the next game on our list here, which is Grand Theft Auto 5. So this is another one where I was a little tiny bit underwhelmed by what they showed in this trailer. Yeah. It looks like Grand Theft Auto 5. It looks improved. It looks enhanced, but they didn't really show any of,
the bit where they lost me was where I became unimpressed by what they were showing was there like enhanced gameplay features, but it was just like an exploding tractor trailer as you're driving.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, what is enhanced? Tell me the controller is going to speak to me or something, or something.
And it's odd because Rockstar's really good at putting out these Grand Theft Auto trailers and hyping these trailers. Even with Red Dead, they're awesome at trailers. Rockstar is one of the top, as far as I'm concerned, at hyping their games up.
They slapped some GTA footage together and
they
called
just
it a day.
Threw it together, and I would have liked to see maybe like, and I think we might get this, and I hope we get this. We talked about it on here before, but I want all of the GTA Online stuff in this single player for the next generation. I'm talking the cars, the guns, the different shops you can customize your cars at, all that stuff. I don't really care about the apartments and all that stuff. If that's in there, that's cool. But
yeah, and I want to be able to like earn money in that game just by like holding up convenience stores and like robbing people. Like I want more immersion into like the buildings and stuff and like to-dos. And I know more of that is in online, but they haven't added it to the base game, and that's what I need.
Yeah,
is the single player features.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm hoping that's what expanded and enhanced means to them.
Yes,
they're adding this stuff into the game. I thought it was going to come on the last time Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, but it didn't. So
what are you going to do when it doesn't this time? Quit.
I'm to be honest with you, I'm going to buy it at full price and beat it regardless. But I would like to have those, the save that I have on my PlayStation right now. I glitched a bunch of online cars into single player, so I have a bunch of them, and they're all in my garage.
Sounds like you need to reactivate your Twitter account and light them up.
Complaining. It worked before, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I like the seamless character switching, but that was already kind of seamless on the last generation.
Close enough.
It was pretty quick. So the kind of bummer of this trailer is March of 2022. So I believe it did get delayed. It was at least nodded for November at least.
Yeah.
Or they mentioned it somewhere in a trailer previous.
I think I'm okay with that because if they release the trilogy this year, I think that makes up for it in my mind.
Well, that's what I was going to get at. This to me means we're not getting that this year because it was not in this press conference. Why would you not show it if it's coming this year? You know what I mean?
What did we get last time? Did we get footage or did we just get an announcement?
No, it's a leak. It was a leak. Yeah. But it was like a leak that every single website was talking, like a pretty substantial leak, obviously, that we were taking. So I thought it was weird that we didn't see it here in some capacity. And it was funny because in the trailer for Grand Theft Auto 5, they put "and more." And then I was like, oh, here it is. We're going to get the remaster. And then it was GTA Online. I was like, well, who cares? We know we're getting that. Why you got to hype that up? But
yeah. So with that said, I guess I am going to be playing GTA 5 sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I'm just going to wait because I might as well, especially with the November, if it had come out in November, that would have been a major issue for me because Battlefield's coming out then.
Yeah,
so,
true.
We just said I don't play more than one game at a time typically. So that would have put a whole wrench in everything if the remaster trilogy came out and Grand Theft Auto 5 came out around the same time as Battlefield. That would have been a big issue for me. So I don't know, I don't know what they could be possibly delaying this so long for. It's already a game. I don't know what
they're adding all the online stuff into the base game.
I'm hoping that's what it is. I'm hoping it's some issue.
If they delay it and they don't, that would be so infuriating.
Right. Oh, absolutely infuriating. I would still buy the game and beat it again, but I'd be mad while I was doing it.
And you can't be mad during the load times because there are none.
Right. Yeah. True. Yeah. I mean, here, I love Grand Theft Auto 5. I think all three of us we're all in agreement on that, but it just didn't wow me like I thought it was going to in this trailer.
No. Are we digging in on GTA 5 at the moment, or are we just lightly grazing over it?
Yeah, let's lightly graze over it for now, and then we'll just finish this out and go back to it.
I don't think I'll pick it up again. I'll say
you
that.
Don't? Okay. Well, we'll save that. Put a pin in that one, huh?
Yeah.
So the next game, we'll go quickly through these next couple because they're games we really already have heard about. Ghostwire Tokyo. I know absolutely nothing about these games. This one looks kind of cool. But it's creepy looking.
Yeah.
It looks like it's like a parkour first person kung fu game or something. I don't know.
the more and more that like footage went on, the more creepy it got. 'Cause they kept
Yeah.
showing like the more I was paying it, like there's so much going on in those clips that you're trying to comprehend it all. So finally, the further it got toward the end, I was starting to really see the enemies that were like coming at you,
Right.
and they're freaky looking. Like the one is just looks like a face. I don't know. It's
like
it
a
definitely
Santa-
looks scary.
Yeah, a lot of the enemies reminded me of Slender Man is what they look
Yeah.
like. I mean,
Yes.
suits with the white faces. But the like main, I assume he's like the main villain with the samurai looking mask
That
on.
dude's
With the
cool.
that's
Thing
yeah,
going
he's
on.
cool. Yeah, I mean maybe on sale I'll pick it up. The next game is Guardians of the Galaxy, another game that we saw at E3. I don't think personally it looks that great. I think it looks kind of janky.
Yeah.
But
That's how I think of all like most superhero games outside of like Spider-Man and like
Yeah.
Batman stuff.
Right.
Wolverine.
and Wolverine, yeah.
But my question is, I know there's been other Guardians of the Galaxy games. Do they always not have the actor's face as the representation in the games?
You're talking the MCU actors?
Yeah.
Yeah. So unless it's like a licensed MCU product, you would probably get that. But this is not. This is the same as Spider-Man. We don't see Tom Holland in the Spider-Man games, right?
True.
Same with the Marvel Avengers game that came out. None of those characters were, it was super odd because Iron Man is voiced by the same guy that voices Nathan Drake in Uncharted. So that's all I could think about the entire game.
I remember talking about that.
That's Drake's voice, not Iron Man. But yeah, I don't think, I don't know too much of anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy outside of the MCU movies, so I don't know if this is how they look in the comics or what's going on.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, is that the like comic depiction of Peter Quill?
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
But it's coming October 26th, I think.
Yeah.
So
it looks like it's coming October 26th. How
yeah. So whatever. Maybe I'll play it down the road. I could care less about Guardians of the Galaxy, to be honest.
Don't do it.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodhunt, which is another game we saw. This showed off a bunch of gameplay.
Is this a multiplayer only?
This looks like a multiplayer only. I'm not entirely sure. It looks to me like a Left 4 Dead-esque multiplayer only.
Because they had the classes and like the different.
Yeah, they showed off different classes and gameplay for each of the classes.
You get like a Left 4 Dead vibe for it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I won't say Left 4 Dead because it looks more stealthy and it's obviously third person, where Left 4 Dead I think was first person.
Yes.
But the multiplayer side of it, like 4 people fighting the world type of deal, is what I got.
To me, it looks almost as if it would be like 4v4 v everyone, like a PvPvE.
Right. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, I know there's another Vampire the Masquerade. I think this is like a second or third one. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure that there's older ones. But it looks, this is the first time I think we saw gameplay of it, at least that I've seen gameplay of it. 2022. It looks okay. Deathloop, which oh my goodness, I am so sick of seeing this game, man. I am so sick of seeing this game.
Come on.
Like the last PlayStation thing, they spent like a good 9 minutes of gameplay on this. Like I didn't need to see it again here. It's coming out September 14th. That's like...
Let me be honest with you.
Like
as somebody who doesn't own a PlayStation, that actually got me. Today's video of it got me more into the game than I had been before because I understand a little bit more of it. You have 8 people that you have to take out within a certain amount of time, and you're working against another assassin who seems to be always ahead of you.
Yeah, so
she's planning on you being wherever she's gonna be.
Right.
Like, all of that is new to me. And that's like, oh, that might be another reason to get a PlayStation. Like for me, the PS4 would have been like the Left 4 Dead remaster, or excuse me, Last of Us remaster. Look, I don't even remember some of the other Bloodborne. That was another one that I really wanted a PS4 for. So like, this is one of those 2 sort of games that PS5 I would buy for it.
Yeah.
You're
it
really
looked,
not that impressed with it, huh?
I think they're no. It's not that I'm not impressed with it. I'm just freaking sick of seeing it. It's coming out in a week. We didn't need it in the showcase today. You know what I mean?
Well,
This should be all new games that we haven't seen. And so far,
that's true.
really, outside of a couple games that were talked so far, there's really nothing new that we're seeing here. And that agitates me a little bit, especially when they're like, oh, it's going to be 40 minutes and it's a showcase and we're going to show all these new games, new studios, what they're working on, yada, yada, yada. And then this is the first 20 minutes of it, which could have been just cut because we've seen all this stuff a million times, including the 9-minute gameplay trailer, which I will admit looked really cool, but I didn't need to see this. That's just my take on it.
It definitely looks like it leans into like the goofier side of like Fallout. Yeah. That's like what it reminds me of. Like if you were to just like turn Fallout into like an amusement park, that's
right. Yeah,
basically what you get.
Yeah.
At first, I thought I was like, I had no idea. I was like, is this a Fallout thing? Because like the text and like just like the style. I was trying to place it.
Yeah, so we got like a little gameplay story teaser here. It's coming out next week if you want to play that. The next one I missed, so I had to go back and watch after it. And I think it's called Kid Mnesia. I don't know how you say it. Exhibition. So this was like the most mysterious looking thing. Like I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what this is. So I looked up what they put under the title for the video. And it says an upside down digital analog universe created from original artwork and recordings to commemorate 21 years of Radiohead's Kid A and Amnesiac coming in November of 2021. So does that have any meaning to either of you guys?
No, nope. But I was intrigued when I saw the trailer.
Yeah, it's just it was, I would have liked to know what it was at least.
Yeah.
It's very, very brief. I mean, so brief to the point where I literally glanced away from the screen as I was typing and I missed it.
What I missed?
So the next one, I have no idea how to say this. Tashiya. I don't know. It's a cartoon looking.
Shia.
Yeah.
Shia.
It's a cartoon looking game. It's kind of got like maybe cell shade-ish look to it. Kind of reminded me of Wind Waker, that kind of cartoony world, and it looks really cool. I mean, I'll never play it, but somebody will because it looks like a big giant open world that they're exploring in the trailer. But
what else is new? Big giant open worlds.
Yeah.
So I'm over it.
Right.
I want to go down like linear, like
right,
that style, like Third Age.
Yeah.
I want to play Final Fantasy 13 again.
Yeah. So the next one, which I'm sure is the one Nick was talking about, I'm personally excited for. Uncharted 4 Lost Legacy Remaster Bundle for the PS5, PC.
Why?
Why not?
Why
not? The keep in mind, Uncharted 4 was an earlier PlayStation 4 game. Not really early, but it's earlier.
Yeah.
If you go back,
it's a launch title.
If you go from Ghost of Tsushima and go back to Uncharted, you're going to have a migraine by the time you're 15 minutes into it because
I'm literally going to do that, and I'll let you know.
You let me know because you're going to be nauseous if you're anything like that. At least
I can be nauseous. I still don't even believe I can see anything more than 30 frames per second. I'm not buying into that conspiracy.
You guys,
you definitely can.
You know, is the fourth one like? Can you pick up the fourth one, and that's okay to start there? Or if you start at, the fourth one, you're missing out on some serious.
You're missing out on.
So then, what's the point of redoing the fourth one for in PC and stuff if I've never played 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, so 1, 2, and 3 got remasters in the Nathan Drake collection. I don't know if it's on the PC. I feel like it is.
I summoned Steam.
Yeah, look at Steam. I feel like the Nathan Drake trilogy is on PC. But this is the big takeaway for this is yes, the game was already beautiful to begin with. It looks more beautiful, but now it's on PC. So that's why I think they didn't. It's a little odd that they didn't just bundle them all together in one package.
That's what I thought it was at first.
Right. Yeah. So did I.
And that's where they lost me because I'm like, why do this if you're not just going to give us like the 4-box collection?
Right. Yeah. And that might have something to do with they literally did that a couple of years ago with 1, 2, and 3. So I have no idea. Literally, probably will be a day one pickup for me. I love this game. I love both these games. So any kind of upgrade to the PS5, I'm for. After Tsushima's upgrade, I'm all for any upgrade you want to give me on any of my favorite games. I'm taking it. You got an answer yet, or what? What are you working on? AOL internet over there?
No, I thought I was gonna get some more detail and like hope that we missed it and it's actually all 4 games, but
It's
no,
not.
it's not. It's and no, you can't play the other ones on PC by the looks of it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So it's for somebody out there. I'm sure somebody's gonna pick it up, and I'm sure it's gonna sell great. So
I just feel like one more year and all 4 would have been like a heavier hit.
That's
personally.
probably true. Yeah, it is odd that they are not packaged together because the Nathan Drake collection is a PS4 remaster, not a PS5. Now you could play them on PS5, obviously, but they're not, taking advantage of any of the hardware. So it is odd. I don't know why they did it. Who knows?
Yeah, and to BioSiv's point, like at least put the Nathan Drake collection of the first 3 out on PC to match the 4th being on PC. The PC, it just seems jumbled to me. Like,
yeah, it definitely is, and that might happen. They just might not need to announce it. You know what I mean? It's just one of those. Drop it on Steam one day, and
I'll let it go.
But somebody's excited because it's coming to PC, so I guarantee somebody's pumped that they're going to get to play and Lost Legacy is very underappreciated. I will say that because I was all against that game when it came out, and then I played it and I loved it. So the next thing that we got was the PlayStation, the head of the PlayStation studio saying, okay, now here's the exclusives pretty much that they were framing. So the first thing that pops up is Insomniac and Marvel. And I'm like, oh, here it is, man. Here it is, Spider-Man 2. Let's go. Let's go. My son's jumping up and down. I'm jumping up and down. And then the trailer starts, and I'm like, what? Okay, it doesn't really look like Spider-Man, but hey, sure, they're going in a different direction. And then we see a dude sitting at the bar. Everybody's beat up around him. The whole bar's trashed. Guy with a cowboy hat and a flannel sitting at the bar. Guy finally wakes up from his, knockout, pulls out a knife and starts walking to the dude, and it shows a front shot of him and his fist, and the claws come out, and it says Wolverine. Okay. And I'm like, oh, crap. I mean, cool. Don't get me wrong. Super excited. I even wrote in my notes, oh, there goes Spider-Man 2. Like, it was like, no way we're getting that now because they're working on a Wolverine game out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, it's obviously in very early production. Wolverine game from Insomniac. I don't know how the studio does it, and they're cranking out games. They just did Ratchet and Clank, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. I mean, they're just cranking these awesome games out. So I'm pumped for it. Don't get me wrong. I think it looks cool. I just think it's years upon years away. And we'll get to that once we get to their other announcement in the trailer.
Have we had a Wolverine game before?
No. Not we might have had like an X-Men Marvel team up thing or Marvel versus Capcom he was in or something like that.
Long ago back on the Genesis when they had Weapon X.
You think this is going to be like a Tsushima gameplay style or?
No, this is Spider-Man. This is straight up Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Insomniac. Same studio that did Spider-Man. So
jumping around.
We didn't really get too much out of the trailer, and I think that the reason is because they're just like cranking these games out, and they're already have a trailer ready for this, which I thought was a little bit of a tease for what I was hoping we would get out of this press conference. So
there's probably somebody, a game dev, like, can we not release this today?
Right. Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah. Like right. So, it went from super high for me to okay, it's a Wolverine game, cool, but where's Spider-Man 2, which is what I'm waiting for.
How did it not even just peak even more? As soon as it came on, I was like, Spider-Man 2, cool. And then I saw the bloody knuckles slide those blades out, and I went, whoosh, just like that,
right?
dude.
Yeah, well, I think it's because I was so hyped for Spider-Man 2 to be announced at this thing. And as soon as I see they're working on a game that's not Spider-Man 2, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, where, why? You know what I mean? Or is this going to be in between Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine? Or Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2? Is that where Wolverine's going to fit? We'll answer that in a couple seconds. But go ahead. What's this?
This is Underfunded. He's saying about like the switch on Unite on the Switch on Unite switching from 30 FPS to 60 makes such a big difference.
Oh, it's math. Are you trying to argue? Are you trying to argue that you can't tell the difference?
No, it's not between 30 and 60. It's beyond 60.
Okay,
I wanted to be shown proof that it even matters.
That I'm curious. Yeah, that I'm curious about because there are a couple games on the PS5 that are 120. Dirt 5 is one of them, and I almost wanted to get Dirt 5 just to see the 120. But
you gotta have a 120 TV. Do you have a 120
yes,
TV?
I have. I have a 120 TV. So I'm kind of in your ballpark where I'm like, I feel like maybe I'm not going to notice a difference at all. But
like outside of games, like have you found like a movie or anything where it's like, here's your 120? It looks like the first Hobbit. It's like super weird looking. It doesn't look like a movie. It looks like I'm watching a game.
Yeah, I haven't. Just because I don't know, like I wouldn't even know where to start movie wise. Like, are movies even 60 frames now? I have no. Yeah, I feel like a game would be the right way to experience the 120 if you can even tell.
Have you, Bio?
No, man, I don't have a 4K TV. I was looking into some of those new Hisense U6D, U5D, whatever their model numbers are that they're sporting are.
Yeah.
They're doing 240 hertz, which is motion. Technically, it's 120 hertz is what it is. So a 240 motion is a 120 megahertz for their TV. So that fairly affordable TVs for 65-inch. So I'm looking into that, but I don't have a next gen console at the moment, so I wouldn't even be able to utilize something like that.
Yeah, when I got my hands on a PlayStation 5, I knew that my TV was like getting to the point where it's like time to upgrade. So I just did it all at once. I was like, you know what, man, I'm just might as well do it. So I looked up. I ended up getting an LG C10, which at the time, which seems like probably years ago now, the way TVs come out, was the best TV for the PlayStation 5. It has like 4 or 5 or maybe 3 or 4 120 hertz inputs, which is kind of unheard of on TVs. There's usually only one.
Yeah.
I noticed a pretty big jump just from TV to TV outside of the hertz jumps for playing the Spider-Man remaster and Miles Morales when they launched. But now with the upgrade on Tsushima, it's like, that game takes my breath away literally multiple times a day. And we know this because I've taken 600 something screenshots of it because I'm addicted to taking screenshots of this game because it's so stunning looking. But yeah, I would be interested in trying the 120. I'm just not gonna go out of my way and buy Dirt 5 for $60 just to see it one time. I don't want to play Dirt 5, so I'm sure something along the lines is going to come that's going to be 120 that I want to play. So I'm just going to wait till then because it's not like this pinnacle thing that I need to experience personally.
2022 goal, 4K TV.
There you go.
I'll probably do like 2 months worth of research and try to understand all the acronyms they have, UHD and dynamic range and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's definitely complicated.
Every 10 years I catch up, or every 5 years, I think.
I'm very, very happy with my C10. I absolutely love it. It's probably the best TV I've ever bought, hands down. But the one thing that startled me the most is it's as thin as my iPad. And I have my TV mounted. So I was like, my wife and I were trying to put it on. I'm like, we're gonna snap this thing in half if we pick it up the wrong way because it's that thin. You know what I mean? You could like feel it bowing and stuff. I was like, oh,
it's so weird.
This is not good. So I was like a nervous wreck until I got it up on the mountain. I was like, oh, okay, we're good. Like it didn't snap in half. So next game, Gran Turismo 7. We just kind of, said I'm not a racing game guy.
Dude, I'm in.
Yeah,
like
it looks beautiful
because I do the Forza thing.
Yeah,
dude, that looked amazing to me. That sold me on Gran Turismo this gen.
Yeah, for sure. I think it looks absolutely stunning. But I feel like it's been coming for a really long time. Maybe that's just in my head. I don't know.
No, I don't remember the last one they had was like all sport.
It was just sport. GT Sport.
Dude, how long ago was that? Like 10 years now?
It was, I think it was 5, 6. I don't know, maybe not. No, I don't know. I honestly don't know because I just got it for like $5 a few months ago on the PS Store.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks really, really
2017.
good. I don't 2017?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
GT Sport.
Because they released the demo for Sport so long before the actual game came out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I remember that.
Because
it was like a tech demo.
Yeah.
Yeah, even this one's March 2022, so that's weird. They're not giving us like a 5-year hype. But I think the time between GT Sport and its predecessor was significant, and that's why because I think it's GT, it would have been 5, which was I bear to say like 2010, maybe before.
Yeah, it might have been.
Oh well.
Yeah, we'll see. March 2022 is when it's coming, and then the next game. Oh boy,
2010 GT Gran Turismo 5.
Okay. Wow, you were right. Wow, there you go. Man. So the next game. Now this was my BioSiv through the roof moment here, because the trailer for this trailer they don't put Insomniac Marvel at the beginning. They just opened the trailer. Yeah. And like, you hear a Russian dude talking. I have no idea what he's saying, talking about trying to find his match or whatever. You see little snippets of electricity and stuff going on. And then you see Spider-Man, the Spider-Man white spider logo from the game.
Can't hide it too long.
And I got super amped. I got really confused with this trailer because the entire time that I was watching it, because at the end, the big reveal at the end of the trailer is Venom, which we had thought was going to be in Spider-Man 2, obviously. I was under the impression that the entire time that the Russian dude talking was Venom. And then I was like, wait a second, like he doesn't have a Russian accent in any of the comic books or any rendition. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, what? So I went back and watched it, and Venom actually answers the Russian dude by saying, we will, with his little Venom voice. But I think the Russian dude is Kraven 100%, because the note that they put out on like the PlayStation blog says whatever villains will hunt him down, and Kraven's Last Hunt is like one of the most popular Spider-Man stories. So listen, I'm super salty this game's coming in 2023 because that's really, 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 really far away. And outside of that, I'm super amped for this. I cannot wait. If I could go into a cryo chamber right now and sleep till 2023, God. I'd be all over it, because I absolutely love the first Spider-Man game. Miles Morales was fantastic, but I am curious of what you guys think of this, because this to me makes it seem like Wolverine is coming after this, right? Because we didn't get a release window for Wolverine, not even a year.
Yeah, true. Given that they're working both. Yeah, Wolverine's probably after that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe same year. I could see Spider-Man 2 being early 23 and then late 23 for Wolverine, but it might be a 24.
It's tough. I want to say Wolverine's going to be coming before it, just because they showed the trailer before, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And realistically, I feel like everything that they're going to do for Wolverine's game is just going to be reskinning of most of Spider-Man game. where they'll push the next Spider-Man game for specifically the PS5.
Right.
Then,
That's a good point. I feel like showing Wolverine first was a way to tease that it wasn't Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Just with the way they did that they did it. They showed Insomniac, they showed Marvel, and then they did Wolverine. And then this one they didn't show Insomniac, Marvel, and just went right into the trailer. So,
good point.
You know, to me, if I was putting my money somewhere, I would say Wolverine's coming after this, almost certainly. And 2023 is really far away, but. You know, I want them to get this game right. I think they're gonna get it right because they rarely don't get it right. But you know, just to hear Craven and to see Venom, like this game is gonna be ridiculous, and I can't wait. And then showing they kind of teased at the end of Miles Morales because they both swing up to the screen together, Spider-Man and Miles. So I think you're going to be bouncing back and forth between playing both of these characters. I don't know if they'll do like a Grand Theft Auto 5 thing, or you can switch between them at any time you want. That would be really cool, especially when you're just exploring the open world. I think it would be really awesome. But we'll see. They're obviously sticking with that direction of playing with both of them at the same time because they show them fighting together in the trailer. So we'll see. I don't know. BioSiv, did you haven't played Spider-Man, right?
I haven't. Not since the PS2.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah.
This gives me time to play. I guess it's time to play it.
For sure. Yeah, you're missing two fantastic games. Like,
so there's a Spider-Man 1 and then Miles Morales.
Yeah, so it's the same. It's the same kind of thing as Uncharted 4 and then Lost Legacy. It's Miles Morales is like a shorter experience. It wasn't really that short, to be honest with you. It's a decent length. It's definitely way shorter. No, it's a total standalone game.
Okay.
So I think that it was much more than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like 1-2 hours long, just a brief tease for the next generation. But it ended up being really cool, and they really differentiate the way that Peter feels versus the way Miles feels. They have totally separate powers and everything. So, I'm excited to see what they do going in. I would love to play as Venom. I don't think you're going to get that, but he kind of Craven asks something like, "Will you give me this?" And Venom says, "We will." So I don't know if maybe at some point you'll play as Venom just for like maybe a story mission or two.
Maybe some DLC later.
Yeah, some DLC. Yeah. I can't even tell you how excited I am for this. Like this was the pinnacle. I kind of wish they would have put this as the last game versus what they ended up showing as the last game.
I'm trying to think. I don't know what game I'm thinking of, but where effectively, like, it'd be cool if you'd play like the normal version of Spider-Man 2, and then once you beat it, you can then play the same storyline but as Venom the whole time.
Yeah. That would be really cool. Yeah, they might, and they might do that with Miles too. Who knows? Who knows what direction they're going? I know that
that'd be a huge game.
The one thing that would be a massive game, but also this game's coming out in 2023, so it's probably going to be a massive game for that far out, if I would imagine. But yeah, if they, screw the MCU. If you don't want to tell Craven's Last Hunt in the MCU, Insomniac's got it covered. And I think that obviously is hinting at Craven's Last Hunt because the black suit plays a big part in that storyline. So not a big part, but it's in the story. I don't know. We'll see. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Cryo Chamber.
Cryo Chamber. Yeah. Like if I can find it, I'm in. Okay. Final game, and then we'll get on. Final game's God of War Ragnarok, showing off Kratos and an older boy. He looks a little bit older. It's like a gameplay / story trailer. And then it shows a bunch of beloved characters from 4 that are returning. Again, it looks, if you liked God of War 4 or God of War, you're going to love this because it looks exactly identical. Not identical, I don't want to say. They're obviously going in a different direction, but it looks cool. I was a little shocked that we didn't get at least any kind of release window on at the end of the trailer, which seemed odd. Because I thought they had a release date, and then it like got delayed to indefinitely or whatever. I don't know. Something may be wrong with the game. I don't know what's going on. I know that in the kind of montage afterwards, and they sat down with a bunch of studios, talked about Gran Turismo 7, with the studio, broke down all the Insomniac announcements, touched a little bit on Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West, which was mysteriously absent from this completely, which I felt was a little like I would take Deathloop out and put Horizon in there in some capacity. But
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
I mean, isn't that game getting to the point where it's almost overhyped now?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay. You know what? I
Okay.
get it. A lot of my friends were like, "How did you not love that game?" And then there is that small group of people who just were not interested in the game at all.
So I think I get that, and I think part of the hype is, me and Chad talked about this last week a little bit, is that this is that franchise's, that IP's chance to like blow it out of the water. So like
Right.
they have a great premise, and one was a good start. Obviously not like the most, knock everyone off their, knock their socks off. But like two, this Forbidden West, like if they nail it on this is the one that will make or break them going like Assassin's Creed on this crap.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's the hype. That's part of the hype for me, because I want to see them like knock it out of the park.
Yeah, for sure. I think the base game laid the groundwork perfectly. I love the base game. We talked about it last week. I think it's like the weirdest concept ever. Like I have no idea where most games you can pick like, oh, they probably took that from this movie or this TV show. There's none of that in Horizon. Like I have no idea where these guys came up with robot dinosaurs taking over the world. But I loved it. And the reason that it's not overhyped for me is because Guerrilla, this is Guerrilla's chance to really show if this is going to be their next series of games, because PlayStation always wanted Killzone to be a thing, and it just never was. They wanted it to be Halo, and it never was Halo. So I'm excited for them because I think they got a really good groundwork laid out in the first game, and this is their chance to really, I get hyped for any game that I loved the second rendition. That's why I'm so excited for Spider-Man 2, because the first game was fantastic. So what are they going to do here that's going to be so much better? So that's why I'm hyped for it.
Mm.
And then that is it for the PlayStation thing. It took a lot longer than I was anticipating it to be, but it was,
segues
for the pressers that we had in the past that Nick and I have covered, like where it was like, why did we even have this? We didn't announce anything. Yeah. To me, this answered why they didn't do any of that, because they wanted to announce it all at this thing. So
I have a question on God of War. I think I definitely need to go play God of War 4 now, so I can figure out where this trailer lands for me.
Right.
Because I feel like that'll tell me if I should be hyped for this game or not. So I need to play 4 to appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you played the first 3 and didn't play 4, you're not really going to get anything in the trailer. You know what I mean? There's a lot of nods to 4. I thought it was at the end of the press conference, they talked to the directors, and I told you they have that Raising Kratos documentary. It's like a 2-hour documentary on the first God of War game. And it has the director of that game very involved, obviously, in the first God of War. And they I don't want to say they abandoned him for this second one, but they moved directors from that game, which I thought was, they said, oh, we just like to do that here at Santa Monica, to keep things fresh.
They jumped director to director.
Right. But for that director to take a game franchise that was kind of dying, nobody really, it's just a hack and slash. And then they brought that new one where they made Kratos an actual character, and they told this amazing story, and it's all a single shot. The camera never cuts away, all this crazy stuff. And then I don't want to say abandon him. He's obviously working on something else because he hints at it. But to move to a different director, I thought was kind of odd. But all right, that's it for the PlayStation conference. Hour and 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in.
Yeah, that was a solid
classic show boys.
Classic show boys. What's playing episode? We stretch it all the way out.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about stretching? I just, I'm not going to be here next episode, so I just want to throw in here. Have you guys seen the new Matrix trailer?
Yes.
Okay,
I have
that's all.
questions.
So
I have questions.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Well,
I have questions.
wait. You have questions about the Matrix trailer?
Yes.
Okay, I have a general statement to make.
Okay,
I don't know what happened. Like, I looked up from like work today around like 3, and I wasn't watching the PlayStation Showcase live, so like weird stuff was coming through from that simultaneously. But at the same time, the Matrix trailer came out today. There was like some new music that I really liked that came out today, and I was just like inundated with like new things on YouTube blasting in my face, and I was like, "What is happening?" Like, I did not expect any of this to happen on a Thursday. But yeah, that Matrix, I posted that in Discord because I couldn't even contain myself. What are your questions about it? I don't have any answers because, like I said in Discord, I love trailers like this because I get hype, I can watch it, and I still don't know at all what's happening with what they're doing here.
Yeah, so is this like a reboot? Okay, because it
I have an idea.
It kind of looks like it's telling the story of the first Matrix, right?
It seems that way, except he clearly knows Trinity still, and at some point they allude to him trying to find her again.
Right. And then did Morpheus get recast? Because that's not who played.
It looks
Morpheus.
like a younger, like digital recreation of him.
It's not though.
You're talking about Morpheus, or are you talking about in the training dojo?
Fishburne.
Both. That's the same guy, isn't it?
I don't think it's it's not the same guy.
Oh, okay.
The first the guy in the dojo was I don't even know, but he was an Asian guy. He was very, very good in his role. This new guy, they recast a lot of different people, gave them different roles. I don't know that they have Morpheus in this. I don't believe Lawrence Fishburne is actually in this movie.
He doesn't look like he is, and that's definitely not. If you go back and watch the pill scene in the trailer, that's certainly not a digital recreation of him. That's somebody totally different.
No, that's a different thing now.
Yeah.
My idea. I don't want to speculate too much. So I don't want to ruin the movie for myself, but because of the way the Matrix is set up, they obviously have a lot of room to kind of do whatever they want.
Right.
And it is called Resurrections. So the thought is Neo dies, spoiler alert, at the end of Revelations. He could be resurrected in form, essence, and stuff, obviously older, right, into a new Matrix reality, which he is recalling his memories from the prior experience.
That's what that's kind of what I gathered maybe from this, or it was like a different Matrix or something. I don't know. I thought it literally, the trailer looks like it's just a reboot, like they're redoing the first film, but there's obviously nods here and there, like the Trinity thing and
dude at some point says to him, he mentioned something along the lines of like coming back to the Matrix.
Right. Yeah. At the end there, coming back after all this time. Yeah. The sitting in the, I don't know. We'll see that,
the Matrix could have found some way to like survive, persist, or come back in the future of humankind. And obviously always there will be a Neo that will rise to correct it.
Right.
So it's something along those lines, if I were to guess.
That's probably a good guess. And that kind of explains away why some of the characters are different too. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like a multiverse thing, kind of.
Right. That's what I was.
Think of how they recast the Oracle. I mean, they just say, it's a computer generation. Recast the skin, game over.
Yep. Right. Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah. I'm all for it. And I know that this was like at least hinted at, but nobody said they were dropping this trailer soon, did they?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it just came out of the blue.
We've had like the news articles leaking throughout the year that they're working on a Matrix 4 and blah blah blah, Keanu Reeves, but nothing to this effect where we're gonna get a trailer. We're gonna get some like this much footage in terms of what is going on.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
They were talking John Wick and The Matrix both dropping the same day. I was
Right.
like, double
Yeah.
feature at the drive-in. I'm
Oh, that's
in.
cool. Yeah, that would be really freaking cool.
that be
Keanu Reeves all night, man.
Would that be
Right.
Matrix 4 and John Wick 4?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like they have to do that. That's such a cool idea.
Keanu Reeves is immortal.
Yeah, I was under, just through reading it, I was under the impression that it like had just started production, or maybe had not even been into that phase yet. And here we're getting a trailer where they've obviously filmed a lot of stuff, So
yeah,
and
the newscast we've been reporting like rumors and like casting confirmations. That's it.
Yeah, and it's coming December of this year, is it not?
Yeah,
December
it's Christmas.
20
It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, so
Holy
it's
crap.
Spider-Man, this, and then I thought that they were supposed to be releasing the Uncharted movie with Tom Holland this Christmas.
Oh, Tom
So
Holland's very busy too.
I'm
So
telling you, that right there would make me run for the Uncharted movie. If the Matrix and a Spider-Man movie were coming out at the same time, like, you should just delay.
push. Big Christmas.
Big
Luckily, no
Christmas.
Star Wars movies, just Star Wars
But-
shows.
But I wish more films and games would do this, where like, here's the trailer and it's coming out in a couple months. Not here's Spider-Man 2 and it's coming out in freaking 4 years or whatever it was, 3 years, whatever.
Yeah.
There's some things you don't need to hype. Matrix is one of them. You know what I mean? You don't need to hype it.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing about music today, because just being like so busy with other things in life, I haven't been like hawking my usual like music releases, so I have like no idea what's coming. So I'm at the point where like things just come out and I'm like pleasantly surprised, and I'm like, wow, I don't even deserve this this music coming out right now, but it's because I have no anticipation of it. So that's the same way I feel about what you just said. Like,
Right.
Give me this trailer 3 months ahead of time, get me a little hype, and
Yeah, that's all you need for some of this stuff. I would venture to say that you wouldn't even need that for some of this stuff. It would have been cool to be like, Matrix trailer out tomorrow or out Friday or whatever.
Yeah.
Give it a week.
God.
You don't need to hype some of this stuff. I wish that.
I'd have been so pissed because I couldn't get my tickets. Somebody would have been on there so fast.
Right, that's true.
yeah, ticket sales, there's that logistic that you have to account for. So
Right. Yeah. All right. We ready to move on?
yeah, what's the next topic?
I don't know. You're the showrunner here.
Nah, yeah, we got through all the topics. That's a wrap. We're gonna close this one out early. No, I would say the next thing would be what's like our favorite thing the three of us like to talk about. I know Grand Theft Auto Bio. You want to dig into that a little bit?
I mean, when you're ready to, I've got a notebook full of things I've written down. For
Let's crush that notebook right now.
Let's do it.
Just go into it, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, this game re-released. What was it? 2013 or 2014?
Or you're talking about the first release?
The re-release when it came back out.
14, because 13 was the first release.
7 years. Okay, so we're looking at 7 years. Over the course of the 7 years, I've put in 350 hours on this game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So most of that was online. So 12 days of online. And then I spent the rest of my bulk time with Franklin. But I've rebought this game so many times at this point. Every time it comes out on the 360, then on the Xbox One, then on the computer because it was going to have the 4K. I don't even have a 4K graphics card, but I bought it again.
Right.
I keep supporting them, And I played through the game when we talked about, we're going to talk about this game. I played through it for the second time on campaign in first-person mode for the first time. Specifically, the reason I rebought the game.
Right.
Totally different game when you play it in first person.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely.
This game is so much more in-depth than you really gave it credit for, 8 years ago when you played it for the first time.
Yeah.
some of the things that they did that were very sneaky. I didn't even realize back then. First off, I want to point out Trevor is a genius.
Oh
He's
yeah,
Fair
the
character.
smartest character next to Lester. Like,
right. Yeah,
and he's just out there. He is crazy, but honestly, he is the character that everyone should be playing the game as.
Yeah.
yes,
You know,
absolutely.
Michael's a washed up ex-con. Franklin's trying to break into the game, and Trevor is what they would call the classic Grand Theft Auto character.
Right.
You know, he
He's who
doesn't
I like
care,
to run
he's
around
knowledgeable.
as.
Was
Yeah.
that?
He's who I would like to run around as because the random crap that would happen to him,
Yep.
the things he says
Yeah.
are just hilarious. It's just that character in those settings, like he's just larger than life, really.
Yeah.
Where the other two, like you said, that they kind of just they blend into some weird trope and they're not as interesting as Trevor, who just he gets the Oscar for the movie here.
Absolutely. I mean, have
sure.
you seen the other two break out into any sort of like acting career after the game?
Nope.
No, I haven't. But I can tell you immediately after Grand Theft Auto,
He's
dude
all
who
over.
played Trevor was
Yeah.
on The Walking
The
Dead.
Walking Dead. Yeah. Yep.
It's like so
Yeah.
Yeah.
awesome.
I think it's it. You know, when this game came out, that there probably is not up until today. There hasn't been a game that I was more hyped for. Grand Theft Auto was a part of my childhood, and I've played and loved every single one of them. And I'm not saying like just played and beat and moved on. Like I dumped countless hours into 3, Vice City. I used to know Grand Theft Auto 3's map literally better than I know North Canton, which is where I live. So it's, you know, I dumped it was like, I was 12 years old. I had nothing else to do, was dumping time into this game. So I used to watch, they released the character trailers for Grand Theft Auto 5, which was, they had the Franklin, Trevor, and Michael trailer, and they were all separate. I probably watched those trailers the year leading up to release probably every single day. No joke. And I think I told this on the show before. Like I said, more hyped than any game that I've ever been hyped for in my life, okay? And it was originally set to release, I think, in 2012, and it got delayed, okay? And they didn't, I can't remember if they didn't put a date on it initially or whatever, but my wife was pregnant with our first child at the time. And it's one of the obscure things in my life where Brady, my oldest, his date that he was coming is the exact day they put for Grand Theft Auto 5. So I'm like, oh my gosh! I'm like, of course. Like
It was sudden, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Because I was in college at the time, and I remember like a random, like just randomly one week, we're like, we have to go buy Grand Theft Auto for the 360, and we need to play. We need to play it. It just came out of nowhere. It just here is $50 or $60 that I did not plan on spending this week, but here I am.
Yeah. And just the fact that it was like, it's coming on the due date, you know what I mean? I spent all night awake in the hospital. I didn't play this probably until the 18th or 19th because I was so exhausted, but I was like seething. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. And it made very fond memories of when my kid was a baby because we would take shifts early on.
Yeah.
So we could sleep. And my shifts were spent playing Grand Theft Auto 5 all night long. So I mean, this game, nothing will ever probably come to the hype level I had for this game. But the way that they did the characters, it was perfect because you had Trevor, who's the classic Grand Theft Auto character, the psychopath. You know what I mean? How you assume all the other Tommy Vercetti and Claude from Grand Theft Auto, how you assume they would be.
Right.
And then you had Michael, who's like the washed up ex-con family guy. And then you had the up-and-comer. It was just the perfect trio. But I do agree with BioSiv to say that it feels the most right when you're playing as Trevor and you're doing all this heinous stuff.
Yeah.
It feels the most wrong when you're playing as Michael and doing all of that and then going home to your family. You know what I mean? But it still works so perfectly.
I mean, I do though have a lot of appreciation for Michael's character just because like his reality is also very screwed up because to me, his also was where you got the most parody with like,
oh yeah,
Hollywood culture,
Right,
and like
yeah.
just like making a mockery of how that entire like part of California works.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was super entertaining at the time, because that was a little bit like ahead of itself in terms of like, we're gonna straight mock like South Park style the entire like Southern California.
Yeah.
It was almost as if they exposed that area to Midwest,
right.
US.
Yeah, and we played it, and like it is a parody, but also we're like, nah, it's legit like this, at least like in our frame of mind, like this it might as well be like true, based on a true story.
Yeah, right.
Dude, Liberty City, I walked down that street with brass knuckles. So I mean, same thing with over in San Andreas, Los Santos. I'm walking around with a knife in my pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the perfect mockery of like the rich dude who's miserable with Michael's entire story, like when he catches his wife with the tennis coach, and then he goes pulls the house down in Hollywood Hill. That whole scene is hilarious,
and it's not even the dude's
house, and that sets the entire story up. So you're thinking you're playing this like funny parody mission early on in the game, and it's really setting up what you're going to be doing for the rest of the game, which is trying to pay back this guy who you just wrecked his house. So I mean, I'm like mildly now, but I was heavily obsessed with Los Angeles and LAPD and any kind of movies that had to do with it when this game came out. So this was like, as soon as they announced that it was Los Santos, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is my dream location for Grand Theft Auto to go, and they're going there. You know what I mean? So I think that's what got my hypes. My hype was just through the roof for it, because it was Los Angeles, based off of Los Angeles, and the whole 3-character thing I thought was brilliant, and I think they implemented it awesomely. Like, it's such a cool concept, and I hope they stick to it in future titles. I don't know if they will, but
it's crazy it came out in 2013 too.
Yeah.
And it's held up so long, because to this day, I mean, that's still a huge mechanic that's just so much fun.
They just keep supporting it. So
right. They have their niche. They know what the people want, and they want to buy Grand Theft Auto 5 again and again and again.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's really on that Red Dead, so
right.
You got to stick with the GTA.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at 3 people who are certainly going to buy the game again when it comes out. So
yeah,
it's a good poll there.
I do want to discuss the kind of changes in the gameplay from Grand Theft Auto 5, or from 4 to 5, making it feel, everything's just tighter feeling and more arcadey kind of. Do you guys get that vibe where they kind of went with a snappier response to driving and shooting? Everything just feels so beautiful in this game, like so crisp and clean, and the flying is great.
In 4 felt kind of realistic.
Yeah,
and
all the cars had like, right, like a floaty feeling to them when you're driving and they're bouncing down the road.
Yeah, that's true.
And don't get me wrong, I loved 4. I honestly, I can't say, starting at 3 moving forward, I can't say I didn't like any of them. I loved all of them. But 4 to me was like, okay, we got good groundwork here for the next generation at the time. Now I can't wait to see what we do with the next one. Did you guys like, I assume you like 5 more than 4?
I loved 4. 4 was amazing. Some of the options that you were given to change the storyline made it feel as though you had an actual impact on the world. Whereas 5, everything around the world, in your world, changed with what you did.
Right.
But 4 made it feel like you had a bigger impact.
Yeah, that's true, definitely. What do you think, Nick?
No, yeah, I think I'm with Bio there. I mean, I liked 4, and it was a good. It's just a natural transition into 5 from San Andreas and the trilogy, if you will,
right.
Because it took that next step, graphic wise, gameplay wise. They play with a lot of new systems, and the story was still great, and it was in New York, so that's always a fun city, and that was the right setting for that game.
Definitely.
And even that play style, because it had that Spider-Man feel to the world where everything was like really realistic. There was the people on the street. I think I liked more in 4 than I do in 5. Just something felt more simulated, which I do like simulations, and it just seemed more natural engagements, and like the way you moved through the world, the weight it had to it was really, really good in 4. And I have a friend that swears by 4, and like I think he hates 5. I don't know if he just knows it wasn't as good as 4 because he's a fan of 4, and I think it's for those reasons, because it had more of that traditional feel to it, where 5 became this next level polish, where you're able to resell it every year and people will buy it. So overall, I mean, it makes sense because they knew what they were doing. They're like, we're going to make this very accessible game that will last. 4 would not last like that.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've never, to my knowledge, they never re-released 4 in any capacity, in a remaster or anything, which I think is so weird. I don't know if maybe
we'll get it
eventually in like a trilogy pack of some sort.
I was at least did they release any of the previous ones in a remaster yet, or is the supposed trilogy that's coming? Is that going to be the first time?
That's it.
Yeah, that's coming. Well, no, because those were, I'm pretty sure those games were on 360 and PS3. You could play Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City and San Andreas, and then they re-released them on, ironically, mobile.
Yes.
For their 10th anniversaries. And I'll tell you what.
4 was on like the iPad and stuff.
Yeah, just the amount of polish they put on the mobile games. The 10th anniversary of Grand Theft Auto 3 looks beautiful. So does Vice City. So does San Andreas. So, I'm really, really excited for this new. I was hoping we were going to see it today at the PlayStation thing, but we didn't. But 4 just seems like almost like the bastard child for them. Like they're re-releasing all their other games except for 4, and I would love to revisit 4. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I don't know if it's.
I think they'll get there. Yeah. I think they'll get there. And 4 was in a weird time because it was the next one after the trilogy. I don't know why those ones get packed. Those ones are packaged together because they are part of the same like engine, if you will, like the same era. Right. And then 4 was like a big step in character development, game design, all that.
Size, everything, yeah.
It's just the middle child, which nothing wrong with being the middle child, but it's the middle child feeling.
Yeah. Just coming from 4, which has that gritty, it almost has like a gray filter over the graphics, which works really, really well for New York City because that's what it looks like. It's gritty, and then putting in 5 for the first time where everything's bright, it's sunny California, the beaches are beautiful, everything. It was just such a change from 4 to 5. But I just always thought it was so weird that they've never re-released it in any, because I played it when it launched, and I don't know that I've played it since, and I would love to go back and play it. I'm sure now
it's on mobile. It's on like they released it in that sense. I think they ported it to iPad and all that stuff.
Grand Theft Auto 4?
I thought so.
I don't think so. No, I don't think mobile would run Grand Theft Auto 4. I doubt it. But yeah, I don't know. I just saw. To me, for my money at least, Grand Theft Auto 5 is the better between the two. I think that there are story elements in 4 that are fantastic. I love all the mob stuff in 4, which is a classic New York City story to tell. But Grand Theft Auto 5, just everything to me in 5 was better. Obviously the graphics are better, the gameplay is better, the world's better, the characters are better. The characters you're playing as are better. I think I love Nico Bellic. I think he's a great character and everything. But just pushing it to the pinnacle of playing as 3 different characters was just such a cool thing to do, and I think they nailed it personally.
I just want to kind of, as we're talking about it, you said the bastard child of the series. It's like, do you think that's why Trevor ends up, killing dude at the very beginning.
I think 100. Yeah. And I got to be honest,
this game.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. It's such a cool concept for a game to do. You take the character that you play in the DLC. One of the DLCs is Grand Theft Auto Liberty Cities, and within the first maybe hour of the game, that might be the first time you even see Trevor in Grand Theft Auto 5. He freaking curb stomps him, and I mean, that's such a cool way to be like, here, we're moving on. This guy's dead. And they make him kind of look like a pansy in this game, and I can't remember what.
In the other game, he was hardcore.
Yeah, dude, he's a biker, New York City biker, like hardcore. In this game, he's like a whiny little baby.
But that's because Trevor, it's like the 300 effect, right?
Right.
They're painting the characters in an altered light, because Trevor is this. Like whatever came before, it's nothing compared to what Trevor's operating on here. Like this character is here.
Yeah.
And he's a menace.
Perfect way to be like, here, we get that you love this guy. We just killed him. And now Trevor's going to go massacre all the bikers too. So we're getting rid of this. He goes to the trailer park and kills everybody. So yeah, it's such a cool way to introduce a character. So out of left field, I thought.
And Trevor's side supporting characters are also just fantastic.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Some of the best supporting characters in any Grand Theft Auto game, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also really, really liked what they did as far as making each character's world around them feel different. So you have Trevor, who's out like in the desert, in the trailer park area, the meth area. And then you have Michael, who's in the I think it's supposed to be like
that's Hollywood or LA Hill, the hills.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. Well, I think Franklin is in the hills, right? He's in those winding, later on in the game.
Later on, later on, he's like up in the hills.
Yeah, so I think I'm totally blanking on it. I think it's I can't think, but anyway, Michael's area, and then you have Franklin's area, like down in it's just such a cool way to separate the characters, where they're all coming from. You know what I mean? They're all coming from different walks of life. You have Michael, who's the super rich dude. You have Franklin, who's the street kid, and then you have Trevor, who just doesn't care about it. He's just living in his trailer and doesn't really care about anything.
Yeah, if only Franklin's house was like a block away from CJ's like cul-de-sac, and CJ's house is just like boarded up and just condemned.
Yeah, you're right. I thought, and you saw that in those character trailers, how they even differentiate them in there, showing how different their lives are. And then expanding that in the game, I thought it was so cool. I wish that Franklin would have stayed where he came from originally a little bit longer in the title than he actually does, because he ends up going to Hollywood Hills in that bigger house, which is cool later on in the game. But I wish he would have stayed around the street area, around the liquor stores and stuff. It was just a cool opening to a game,
Yeah, but that's why we have San Andreas, which is that all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, there is a mission where play as Franklin. You end up linking up with Trevor and one of Franklin's buddies, and you go to see, I don't even remember the dude's name. It was like Slim or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's trying to sell you some cocaine. And it's right there in the ballers cul-de-sac area.
Yeah. Super cool.
And you gotta firefight your way out.
Yeah. Definitely that whole area of the map, and I thought it was really cool that they brought the gangs back from San Andreas. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because
even how they evolved,
right? Even how how Grand Theft Auto 4 didn't do that at all with the original. Any of the gangs from Grand Theft Auto 3, there were none of them in 4, to my knowledge, that I remember. So I thought that was cool that. It was like them saying, like, here, we nailed this in San Andreas, so we're just going to keep this little portion of it. You know what I mean? I thought it was super cool.
Oh, dude. Also, I'm sorry. You just keep reminding me. Every once in a while, there are little throwbacks to all those old games. They had something from Grand Theft Auto 4 where the dude's daughter, one of the guys' last name starts with like a G or an M. His daughter is out there in San Andreas or Los Santos, and you end up saving her on the side of some road where two dudes are going to off her.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Calls her father, and she's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know this person saved my life." You know?
Right? Yeah. Definitely
cool, man.
Yeah, definitely I think Grand Theft Auto has always been good at like from a meta level of storytelling in the games where they're not actually telling you a story. So not cutscenes and stuff like that, but the stuff that's happening in the world, the little, Grand Theft Auto 4 was really cool with it because it had like it kept all the original trilogy. Like you could play the taxi missions, the ambulance missions. Those things are near and dear to my heart because I love those in the original trilogy. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I missed the police missions in 5 because I was really excited for that portion because LAPD is like a huge, that would have been a cool thing to just have as a little side story to do. But Grand Theft Auto 4 had like most wanted people you could go after, and they were like holed up in different apartments and stuff. It was super cool, and I was hoping that we were going to get that. And it's clear that they obviously had plenty more in the game that you could do. It's not like they shortcut anything in 5. Yeah, right.
Way too many.
Yeah. So that was the one thing that I was kind of bummed about to begin with. But then a couple hours into the game, I was like, I don't even need that. Like, there's so much stuff to do here. It's not even necessary.
Right.
So. Kind of became the weird filler stuff of the old method of things. But I guess once you're flipping between 3 characters and you have that size of a map, it's kind of beside the point.
Right. Exactly. But I do appreciate like all the, there's a way to make a crap load of money with the stock market in this game. Doing the various heists and investing in the companies that you're ripping off and stuff. So every save that I have in this game, I have like a absurd amount of money, and it's all from that stock market stuff. But the one thing that I thought I kind of missed in the game was in the original trailer, might have been the gameplay trailer, they teased that you were going to be able to buy real estate and invest in real estate, and the site's even on the phone. You can go to the site, you just can't do anything to it. So it seems like it's like one of those things that they cut out of the very last minute. Something wasn't working for it.
You can do it. But you can do it now.
In Grand Theft Auto Online, I think is where that took a bigger thing. So I don't know if it was like a mix up with the trailers where they're like, oh shoot, that's online stuff. You shouldn't have put that in single player, but it's in the original single player.
You can do it in the actual campaigns now. I only know this just because there were a few different ones you had to invest in if you wanted to build more money. But it's not as doing the same as like online where you could hire crew members to do it. If you're doing it in campaign, you are doing that yourself.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking. Like the different bars you can take over and stuff. You're talking. Yeah.
Doing the drug drop-offs with the plane.
Yeah. That's a lot of the stuff that I felt as soon as I saw like the drug drop-offs and that stuff. I was like, okay, that stuff is actually really. I love the drug drop-offs because it reminds me of Smuggler's Run, which I don't know if you guys remember.
I love Smuggler's Run.
I don't know if you guys remember Smuggler's Run, but just the car that you get to do the ground pickups and stuff. It reminds me.
Very cool.
It's clearly a nod to Rockstar's Smuggler's Run, and I've wanted to go back and play that game at some capacity, but that was a cool little nod. It doesn't
hold up, dude. No,
really. That sucks. Yeah, I mean that was like because I think that might have came out either just prior or just after Grand Theft Auto 3, so that was like it might have been just prior. But I love it. It's like I don't think a lot of people know about that game or love that game for the time. It's just like any game we talk about. It's a time and place thing, If you go and play it now, it's probably not that fun. But back in the day, man, it was awesome. But I appreciate that nod and all the other little nods they gave to their other games in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, and a lot of those elements, right? Like the taxi driver missions and those sort of things. That's where like even in San Andreas, like the gyms. You could build up your physique and stuff. That's where it was more in the simulation sphere of things, where 5 stepped away from like the simulation, like
Right.
build your stuff up and, you know, build up your, except 4 was fun in the sense that like you could upgrade your taxi business and all that stuff. So yeah, they definitely did a trade-off there for like the simulation elements and did a trade-off for just straight storytelling.
Right. Yeah, I think
and a lot of other things.
Yeah, I think it was a good move because some of the stuff is it can be like not really that fun. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff in 4 that's just like not fun, and even in the older games. And some people might be thinking the taxi stuff and all that stuff was not fun. I personally love that stuff, but it was just the fact that taking that stuff out of 5 and kind of refining everything and making I can't think of anything in 5 that isn't fun in some capacity. Am I wrong? There's nothing. What is there that's like a slog and not worth doing outside of the like investing in the stock market thing that you don't even have to do?
Other than like those normal collect 100 of these sort of missions,
Right.
go underwater and collect 15 nuclear waste. I mean, like collection missions are always a drag, but go out there and skydive and do 125 miles an hour, you know, free fall, do it proper, you know, like that's cool, you know. So you're right, yeah.
And I really love the way that the flying in this game, whether it be in a helicopter or the planes, feel amazing in this game. Absolutely amazing. And that's the thing that I think Grand Theft Auto has struggled with a lot is the flying mechanics in their past games.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're talking about I can't even remember what the plane was that had no wings in Grand Theft Auto 3. It's like the Dodo or something, where you know what I'm talking about. So just the history on that is Grand Theft Auto released right around 9/11. So 9/11 happened and they actually went in and they changed a lot, including changed the cop cars to not look like New York City cop cars. And then one of them was taking the wings off the plane. That way, obviously, nobody could get in the plane and fly into the building. But that plane is possibly the most infuriating thing I've ever experienced in a game trying to fly that thing, because it's like the worst flying mechanics of anything I've ever seen. Now, I get that they removed the wings, so it's kind of meant to be that way. But it's just like one of those things where I just like, I am going to fly this thing across the map. I don't care how many times it takes me. You know what I mean? But that's where I appreciate 5 just feels so good in every whether it's flying, shooting, driving, all of it feels perfect for me.
It's a well-polished game, and it has to be for being sold 20 times.
Yeah, true. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
I was going to say before you, because I know we're getting real late with this one at this point. But I wanted to point out, man, some of the things that they slip into the game that I'm sure most people don't really notice until it's too late in the game. Anytime there's sort of a cut scene that leads into the main character that you take control of, and you're driving to a destination, usually something like 6 kilometers, away, they have this scene where you're talking, telling a story, whatever it is, building a story, and then a song will come on after they're done talking, and the song almost always pertains to whatever is happening in the game.
Yeah.
So, like an example here, Trevor, Martin Madrazo's wife, Patricia, he falls in love with her.
Right.
And he ends up having to bring her back as like, I'm sorry, I, took your wife as ransom because you suck, but here I'm bringing her back, as he's explaining how much he loves her and how much if Martin ever, disrespects her, I'll come back there. And she's like, I know. He's listening to the song. He stops talking. The song, If You Leave Me Now by Chicago.
Yeah. Fantastic, man. It's so brilliant. Yeah.
So many different things. Creedence Clearwater, Fortunate Son plays when you start the final heist, the big one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those are some memorable moments for sure, especially that Chicago one, because you got like a long drive and it's playing that song like that.
Uh-huh.
That whole storyline is just hilarious because he kidnaps her and then the end of it's just such a Grand Theft Auto story.
Serious
You know
Stockholm
what I mean?
syndrome at that point.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, right. Yeah, I definitely Rockstar's really good at doing that kind of stuff though. Like the little nods here and there in the songs
Meta.
they play. And yeah, it's meta. All the meta storytelling is they've got that down.
I'm big on the radio stations. Like I have to have the right one picked for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know when they started this, but like obviously 5 did it to like the next level, but the talk radio on 5 is just ridiculously one, hilarious, 2, how it weaves into what's happening in the city and like what's going on. It's nuts. And I just love it every time. And depending on, I think Trevor, I listened to the talk radio. I listened to Los Santos, like the like hip hop station, with Franklin, and then I think I listened to that one too with Michael, just because it's funny.
It's funny, right? Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I always was listening to the talk radio with Trevor, just because.
Sure. Yeah.
I think there was extra. I don't know. It just made more sense with him.
Yeah. I mean, the talk radio on all the games have always been hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And that's another thing that's kind of breezed over because everything else is so good in these games.
Yeah.
The radio stations in all these games are great. Grand Theft Auto 3, all the music in Grand Theft Auto 3 is made up for the game. There's not, made by real bands, but they're not like you can't go buy those albums anywhere. They're every song in there is made up for 3.
They actually make compilation like soundtracks for the Grand Theft Auto series.
Right. Yeah.
Love it. Those are expensive, but nice.
Yeah, they are. But I love that in 3 because a lot of the songs are really good for being made up for a video game.
All
you know
of
what
the
I mean?
games, they are on par.
For sure. And then I think once they got to Vice City and started with like the 80s music, that's kind of what transitioned to being, actual songs in the
because you can't just recreate that kind of stuff, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Right. But I just that's one thing that I loved about 3 is just the radio stations, man. Like those are very, very nostalgic for me listening to those, and you can get them all on Spotify, like all the songs. Like as soon as I hear them, man, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember all of this.
And I'm pretty sure I know for a fact they've like patched in new songs to some of the radio stations too over time, because I remember like every playthrough, it's not that I've played it through that many times, but every time I play it and I flip on a station, I'm like, they've added to this, or like it's different because I know this is a newer song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits of being able to release a game over and over again, just add more stuff to it.
Yeah, true.
Though I think it's still very much, isn't it like 2012 America essentially? I mean, that's where you'd place it, right? It's not.
No, I think what makes this game interesting is that even though it was released so far back at this point, like it's almost timeless for what it is now. Say 5 years from now, it's going to be different. You couldn't re-release that game again, probably, maybe as like a remaster at that point. But
yeah.
As of right now, you could release that game every year and it would be considered a new game if nobody had ever heard of it the previous
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think the original intention was it was like 2012 America, but he's right. It's, there are things that are still going on today that are in that game, and it's hard to make a game like that. You know what I mean? That's timeless like that. And maybe, like you said, in 5 years, it's not going to be, but maybe it will be. You never know.
I think at that point, though, we really want
Grand Theft Auto 6.
Red Dead Redemption 3.
One more time. Third time's the charm.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just I got to be honest. I beat it like 3, 4, 5, 6 times now, and I can't wait for this new one to come out so I can play it again. Oh yeah.
Dude, no, just too many
No,
times.
no, it's not. It's not. It's definitely not.
Okay.
It's definitely not.
All right.
And like I said, this game will forever be probably my most hyped game of all time. So it's just like when I see it, it's so nostalgic for the time that it came in my life. My first son was
Yeah.
born; he was just a baby. You know, it's based off of Los Angeles. It told an awesome story, interweaving 3 characters. I do want. So we're spoiling, right? I assume we're completely spoiling. If you haven't played it at this point, you're probably not going to play.
Grand Theft Auto 5?
Yeah.
Oh, it's long out of spoiler like territory. Good lord. Yeah.
I'm just curious of what decision you guys made at the end as far as who to kill, who not to kill, or if you killed anybody.
I was hoping we were going to talk about that. Just
We are.
because I've gone through it twice now, and I can't hurt Michael or Trevor.
Right.
I can't bring myself to do it. Like, I worked so hard to get us to that point.
Yeah.
And now I have to betray one of them. I mean,
Right.
neither one of them really hurt Franklin.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yep.
You know?
Man, my first playthrough, I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure my first playthrough, I killed Trevor and I instantly regretted it. Instantly.
Right.
I was like, I felt horrible. Like, I legitimately felt bad. Like, I was like, I have made the wrong choice.
Right.
I was so upset with myself because there was like some, you know, the missions like afterwards and stuff. I was just like, nah, this is like wrong. Like, I messed up. I need never again.
Yeah, so I couldn't. I'm the same way. I couldn't bring myself to kill either of them, just based off the fact that I know it's a Grand Theft Auto game. I know I'm gonna play a lot of hours after the story, and I want all 3 of them to be able to play as, because it's a nice variety. If I killed one of them, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And I think the good ending is to not kill either of them. I do like the way that they give you the option there. I thought that was pretty, you know, it's rare that you get to kill off a character that you're playing as. You know what I mean? Because
why isn't there a kill yourself option?
Right. Yeah, that's that is very interesting. Yeah, you would think that they would have slipped that in somewhere.
Maybe that's too taboo for Rockstar.
Right. Yeah.
Such a thing.
Too taboo for Rockstar. I don't think there is such a thing. So where are we at in the notebook? Did we nail all the notebook stuff?
Yeah, man. A lot of it was a bunch of music, a bunch of time, little weird things that they did. Silly point. Someone from when they were talking with the FIB, he's talking with Dave and the other guy, the 3 of them, Trevor, Michael, and Franklin, and he said, "Oh, you know, the government's corrupt, like you guys aren't." He said, "No, we're not corrupt." At which point they flip back to the 3 characters, and one of them covers their eyes, one of them covers their mouth, and the other one covers their ears.
I love that.
Yeah, like I was saying, all little silly things that if you just looked away for half a second, you missed it.
Right. Yeah,
I love it that they slipped all that in.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. I talked on the show before, and I thought it would have been really, really cool in this game to do, just because of everything else. I would have loved to have, and I hope they do this in Grand Theft Auto 6, and there's been some leaks that maybe seem like they might be doing that. But I always thought the concept of having a 4th character in Grand Theft Auto 5 that was a police officer or FIB agent or something that was chasing the other 3 throughout the game as they're doing all these heists. I thought that would have been a really cool way to tell a super dynamic story. You know what I mean?
Very cool.
Where you commit the crime and then you show up as the cop and go through the crime scene and, you know, do your cop thing. I mean, I think it would be just such a, and there's go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, so like channel The Departed and have like the inside crooked cop where you're like, you're checking out the crime scene, but you're like, oh, I know where to find the thing that's going to get me a promotion, and
Right.
like just like corrupt
Yeah.
your way like through the
Oh,
roof.
I thought it would be
see?
such a cool and Los Angeles is ripe with corrupt cop
Yeah.
stories to tell. You know what I mean? So it was I thought the perfect opportunity to do it. And I thought maybe they were going to because they did that LA Noire game where you play as a detective in the 40s. So I
That
don't
was a
know
good
if they were
game,
like
too.
dabbling their toes in the police side of things.
Man, oh, yeah, that would be so good.
It would be such a cool
Even
way to
the
tell a story.
even the departed method of how Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon's characters never interact
Right.
except for like the beginning and then the end, right? So it would be where the fourth playable cop character would never interact directly with any of the other three.
Right.
And it wouldn't happen till like the end or something.
Yeah.
Or like a passing situation with Trevor. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But Trevor's like not aware of who the cop is and vice versa.
Right. I thought it would have been. It's such a rock star thing to do. I feel like, you know what I mean. If you made him like a homicide detective and he's investigating all these murders that you're committing at these robberies and stuff,
Yeah.
and trying to find out who it is. Now it's tough to do because it's easier in The Departed because you're not directly controlling either of those characters. You're just watching a story. You know what I mean? So it'd be difficult to weave that in somewhere where you just committed this crime. Now you got to go find all the evidence at the crime scene, but you know where all the evidence is because you just played the crime. So there's some issues
But
with
what
it.
if they did like the Grand Theft Auto 4 thing where you get to decide the fate of things? You end
Right.
up being the cop and you're like, oh, I'm going to find these things. I'm going to be a good cop.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really working with this crime boss who's working with these people.
Right.
I'll let these things go, or I'll mess up this evidence that's here.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely it would open up a huge book of stories to tell.
Yeah.
And I think it's right up Grand Theft Auto's alley to tell something like this.
Even if it was a very controlled, like 20% of the game, where it's like only 20%, or I guess if there's 4 characters, that if only like 10% of the missions were that character, totally worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're super like structured, guided, and like they don't let you wander with him. But then you can free roam and just be a cop at the same time and do cop like things.
Yeah, I think
that's you didn't kill him at the end.
Right. Yeah. I think that there's obviously a very big group of people that want to play as a cop in Grand Theft Auto because there's a huge modding community for Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5 where you play as a police officer. And I tell you, the mod is very, very, very deep. I mean, you can it's impressive to play that mod, and it's super fun to play. You can go as deep as you want. You can go as role play as you want, or you can go as just crazy crooked cop doing all the bad crap that you want. So the community is there that wants to play as police officers in this game because they've made mods in 4 and I think probably even in the older ones too, but definitely 4 and 5 I know for a fact because I played both of them. And 5's is really I mean, there's even a couple of modders who have done voiced missions that you can go through that are actually voiced. The characters are talking and you have to it's there. The interest is there 100%.
I think they technically dabbled in that idea with San Andreas because you had the crooked cop that would always pull you into his bullshit, and you were basically on a cop mission because I think there was like times where like the cops wouldn't bother you because you were with this cop and you're driving a cop car, so you're still playing as CJ, but you were doing this cop's bidding. So little bit like that, but definitely not to obviously that degree.
But if you think of any of the major heist movies that Grand Theft Auto 5 takes inspiration from, whether it be Heat, which it obviously takes inspiration from. There's a new one that it didn't take inspiration from, but I think the movie took inspiration from Grand Theft Auto 5 called Den of Thieves, which is actually a really good movie. And it's freakishly how similar it is to Grand Theft Auto 5's story. But they all tell both sides of the aisle,
Right.
the cop trying to find, and the heat moment where Robert De Niro is sitting down with Al Pacino, the cop, in the diner, and they're talking about, like, you know, you're never going to catch me, and yeah, I am gonna.
Yep.
That's one of the greatest scenes in all of film. So it'd be such a cool thing to do in a video game. And if we're going back to the 80s in 6, which I don't know if we are or not, that would be a perfect time to tell like a cartel story with the FBI or whoever chasing after these cartel members.
Narcos.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Every crime story that is popular has the police side to it. So I think that's the next, if they want to stand out in Grand Theft Auto 6, add in a police officer or federal agent of some sort that you can play as. Add in a little elements from LA Noire with interrogations and all that stuff. I think it'd be a really cool way to tell a cool story.
Rockstar needs to make Grand Theft Auto Narcos and like basically get the license from Netflix or whatever to
call it Narcos.
Do all of that, but call it Grand Theft Auto.
The reason I brought that up is because I think that is one of the leaked rumors, is that they are telling a Narcos-esque story in Vice City. We'll see. I think
Scarface.
I think it's a safe bet to say that this Vice City is going to be modern day, but there are leaks that say that it's going back to the 80s. But
I heard flipping from present to
that would
go
be
back.
cool. Yeah, that would be really cool too. Especially if the maps were different. If you went back to 80s,
it have to
Vice City, and it had the 80s vibe to it, that would be really, really cool.
What if it was an 80s cop who was crooked, or they missed some evidence and allowed a Narcos, big player to go free, and that's what brings us to a present day Miami, Vice City.
Yeah, that would be really, 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 really cool. I hope they do that. I hope they do. I mean, it's Rockstar. I have 100% faith in them that I'm going to love Grand Theft Auto 6. I've never been disappointed by them. So, we'll see. I'm curious if the switching characters is going to come back. I'm curious if they're going to go back to a single character. There's all kinds of different ways they can do, but flipping back and forth between times is something really cool. And it was really, really cool in Mafia 2. If you guys ever played Mafia 2, you play as a gangster in the 40s, or maybe it's the 40s when you start, right out of World War II, and you go to prison for 10 years in the game. And when you come out, it's the 50s, and everything's different. The music's different. The cars are different. The city's different. Everything's different. So, I think if they were to do that with Grand Theft Auto in a Vice City Narcos setting, it would be really popular.
Man, I'm really excited for 6 if it's gonna be Narcos themed. Now I'm thinking so many possibilities. I'm not gonna hype it up in my mind.
Right. That's what.
What if they let us down? Rockstar fails us.
I mean, it's never happened before.
It's Rockstar failing us or Grand Theft Auto failing us?
Grand Theft Auto failing.
Okay.
I was going to say we had some table tennis at some point.
Yeah. I forgot about Rockstar table tennis. Oh, man. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Did you guys ever play Bully?
Yes, I was going to mention it. Like, I would really enjoy a remaster of that game.
Yeah, I thought I had heard that it was coming, but it was ported to the PS4, and I wanted to go back and play it because I've never played it.
Yeah, I heard it was coming, but I mean, rumors.
Right. Who knows at this point?
Just sneak it into a showcase, give it a little bit of footage, and call it 2 years later.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, you got to think that 6 is coming sometime soon. Here, we could get a tease of some sort.
We got 5 re-releasing. We got the remaster trilogy coming out. I don't know, man.
But they also
6. Who's working on 6 too?
Right. They also just gave me a tease for a Spider-Man game that's not coming out till 2023. So I got to think Grand Theft Auto is coming out before then. Like, just a tease. Like just a palm tree and Vice City sign in the back or something, Yeah. There's nothing. They're silent.
I was really with you on the whole like diamond studded PlayStation symbols. I was like, that's so blingy. That's so Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah,
They
I
were
don't
just
even know.
they were just bedazzling their
Yeah,
logo.
right.
Why?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe there's a
for
secret
sure.
Grand Theft Auto, like, I don't know. Maybe we missed it. It's in the showcase somewhere. There's a hint.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe on one of the buildings in the remaster trailer. There's
Right.
a hint.
Just a neon light Rockstar symbol.
Yeah. And then here, okay, one more thing, and then we can be done. Another thing that I thought would be really cool for 6 is that we talked about on here before is to do all 3 maps where you could fly between all 3 maps and tell some story. And I thought
I really
that
thought that's what they were talking about doing.
yeah, and I think the reason that I lean more towards that is because 4 was modern day, right? And 5 was modern day. And Vice City, I think I if I had to put my money on it, it's going to be modern day. So that lines it up to have those 3 maps bounce between, and it also explains why they haven't released Grand Theft Auto 4, because they're going to have the map in the new one in some capacity. We'll see. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Throwing at Houston as a new area.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
they need a new area.
Well, I mean, there's
Chicago
areas,
too.
Yeah, there's areas from San Andreas that they left behind too.
Yes, y'all don't even know GTA 6, Cleveland.
Hey, I'd be all over that.
Well,
I always thought it would be so cool to have like Grand Theft Auto North Canton when I was a kid. Like, it'd be so cool to have.
We're gonna go buy some normal narcotics, not crazy stuff. Welcome to Ohio.
Well, that's been. I mean, really, since they did 5, it's always been my thought. Like, essentially, at some point, with like how Google Maps is like has all the 3D elements in it, at some point we should be able to augment the actual map of the United States into some sort of game, and then that's like the playing field.
Yeah,
and you hit like.
I think
logistically that's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare for sure. But the crew kind of tried to do that, where they did the whole United States, the racing game, where you could go everywhere, and the problem with that is when you do the whole United States, nothing is good. It's just all okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you just don't have the memory to work with. But we'll see. That would be a cool concept in maybe 10 years.
Well,
when they can.
Yeah, and even if the map is like it's the map of the country, but there's only like playable cities, and like pockets of stuff to do to cut out all the like fluff.
Right.
Or even like what's that?
Could you imagine training on like a real grid of Los Angeles to rob a bank or something?
Right, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. Criminals will be all over that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm literally training for what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has people's like actual houses, and then like there's I think there's a maps feature. I don't know, maybe they got rid of it. I don't know, but you could go into like in people's houses. In some cases, so
oh wow,
it gets weird.
It almost sounds like it's a mission off of Grand Theft Auto where they're going to go do their meeting for their bank robbery, and they're going to sit down and play a Rockstar game and try to figure it out.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man. No big things in the future. We're a ways from that, but yeah, I think just the map of just showing the cities, and you can go between them. Even if you drive to the edge and it's like it loads you into like the next a day later, right? You get to or 3 days, whatever it takes to drive, and you take a plane. And that's what they did in 4, where you flew to was it 4 where you went to Liberty City?
San Andreas.
Oh, San Andreas, yeah, where you go to Liberty City. That's where they like teased it. And I was like, oh man, yeah, you can of course do that.
Right. So that's kind of where I got the idea of that's where they're heading with this new trilogy, is doing all 3 maps, is from that mission where they like dabbled in it a little bit in one brief mission. But
yeah, cool. Well, is that all on our Grand Theft Auto topic? BioSiv's yawning. We're gonna hit it. Longest episode ever. Probably not. We're getting close. We always get right to the precipice of like the longest episode, and I always have to check. They're all What's Playing episodes, by the way. So
perfect.
Yes, very perfect. But yeah, I mean, obviously, thanks for coming on, BioSiv. I was really excited to make this announcement. Mike was too. Obviously, unfortunately, he can't be here. But yeah, exciting stuff. We're going places. We're doing things. Looking forward to it. Chad, you got anything to plug?
I do not. The last episode I plugged was Son of Sam. I think that's the newest episode. That'sstrange.net if you want to go check it out. I think we're taking a little brief break here for a little bit, but we'll be back to it soon.
The burnout returns. Bio, you got anything to plug? What's next up on your agenda?
Well, we're gonna be starting a new game here on Sunday night, maybe Monday night. As you know, if you're hearing it for the first time, I'm here Sunday through Thursday nights Eastern. Time varies, but usually on by 8. You can find me on Facebook or YouTube, BioSiv. You can find me on Twitter or Twitch, the BioSiv. And like I said at the beginning of the show today, starting Sunday or Monday, we're going to start loading video content onto YouTube every day. And it's not like 15 minutes or anything like that. We're looking at a minimum of an hour, and sometimes it goes to 2 to 3 hours. It just depends on, how much I streamed for that run that I'm editing.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
something to look forward to.
Heck yeah. Then obviously, of course, we recently released our Patreon, so go sign up there if you are interested in donating and also getting some cool perks. Check us out on our Linktree. YouTube channel is obviously the best place to find all the content we release, as well as the audio recordings of our Thursday episodes on anywhere you find your podcast content. But that's all I have for this night. Thank you guys for coming on. Bio, thank you once again. Looking forward to you being here more and more. And better be ready, Chad. Jordan's coming with the heat.
I'm ready.
On 23rd.
I'm ready.
It's going to get messy.
I feel like I ended this already, but sure.
I know.
It.
Yeah, you must entertain it. You've been challenged, and he needs to, you got to entertain him. You guys got to let him have his time.
That's true.
I don't want to be that person, but I do want to mention. Did you have any answer the boys or anything like that you needed to go through?
That is such a good point.
I'm just saying, I remember that you kind of the guy who points it out to Mike all the time.
That's true. He's got you there.
This is true. Someone's got to remind the host. There's lots of things to run through.
That's the thing. You got so many things going on, man. I'm just here to help at the moment.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's why you're on the team. The only answer to the boys this week was a baked potato, Mr. Baked Potato in Discord. He gave us heavy breathing intensifies gif of the kitty cat.
Very so good.
Yeah, that's a good one. It looks like a nice soft kitty. Moving on, Showboys Mike not being here had felt the need to answer
the boys,
answer himself.
Oh goodness.
And obviously, he said he's hyped for the announcement. Welcome, BioSiv. He said he won't be here. But what he's been playing, obviously, Pokemon Unite and Pokemon Daybreak, Greenleaf, Heart Gold. And I think that's one of his ROMs. That's like it's like a third-party ROM upload. He's deleted his game like 3 times already because he messed it up.
Yeah.
Is that the one that he's doing that, what is that, Nuzlocke on?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That seemed pretty cool as he was doing that. The first day he was doing that, I was very confused because he kept getting some owl.
Yeah. I think isn't it like a non-sanctioned game though?
Correct.
Okay.
There's like he plays like 2 or 3 actual sanctioned Pokemon games, but then he's found like 2 unsanctioned fan-made games that he keeps digging out of the internet. And I'm so proud of him for, going through the trouble of getting these fan-made games installed and running on like his computer.
Right.
So
as if there isn't a plethora of Pokemon games that he could be playing. There's only like 100 of them.
Yeah, I just don't have to keep finding new thumbnails for his streams for the YouTube page. So I'm like, is this another one? Like, where do you find these ones? Daybreak was like the most recent little stint, but obviously Unite, and I forget the other one. There's the Poke MMO one. I think that's even another fan made one too. So I don't know how they do it. Obviously, we talked about that. Don't know how that's flying, but it's rampant.
It's under the radar for now.
These Pokemon fans are just out of control. We're like in some sort of weird like golden era of Pokemon gaming.
I guess, right?
It's resurged with a vengeance. Meanwhile, Nintendo's just like, whatever.
Yeah, right. They don't care.
We're busy. Anyway.
They're busy making their 1080p console that's about to come out. Like it's
next year.
Like it's freaking 2007 all over again.
We got it, guys. We figured it out. Never first, always last. That's their motto.
And they follow that to a T.
Yeah, they refuse to break it. But yeah, that's all we have. Thanks for reminding me on that, BioSiv. And I think that brings us to a wrap. Everyone have a good night. It is late. I will definitely be clipping out some parts of this episode for a new little bit that I do where I'm clipping our episodes just to get little smaller snippets out for people who don't want to sit here for 3 hours and get it all.
Always good for the show, for the What's Playing episodes for sure.
Yeah, and you get to put fun like clickbait titles on it, so like it gets you right in there. Got Jordan today, so like that's my win. Right. So last week's episode, there'll be some clips releasing over the weekend here, into the weekend and over the weekend of last week's episode, and then I will get some clips primed up for this one, so be sure to check those out. But if you're at this point in this episode, I hope you probably already heard it all already if you made it to 251. That said, I'm out and they're out with me. So everyone have a good night and see you next week. The awkward after episode Easter egg where we're still live, but we're just going to hang out for another 30 minutes and make this episode go on forever. But I did want to point out at the beginning of this episode, I messed up the timing and it shows me dropping us out of the studio before we blop all back in.
It does.
So I'm real sad about that. I did not have that timed up correctly. Such a failure. Mike's going to fire me.